Chapter 1932. Then are you going back? Sikong Chuyu asked. I still have things to do here, so I can't leave. Besides, I have Uncle Xiao's protection, Fei Xiao, and the others. My personal safety is not a problem. I'm just worried that someone will attack you and use you to threaten me, Night Sorrow said. Alright, let's do as Night Sorrow says. Let's not make him worry, Yi Wuyo said. Yi Shang bowed to his father. His father supported him in everything he did. After sending his family away, Night Sorrow felt much more at ease. Looking at Night Sorrow, who was deep in thought, Hong Yi made a pot of tea for Night Sorrow. At this moment, Hong Yi and Lanning were clones. They had used time acceleration in the space-time pagoda to successfully condense their clones. I don't need anyone to take care of me. You can go back. Night Sorrow looked at Hong Yi and Lanning. He wanted to chase Xueshi away, but Hong Yi and Lanning insisted. Their clones were king, so they had to serve Night Sorrow. Young master, don't say any more. We are clones. Even if something happens, no one can use us to threaten you, Hong Yi said with a smile. All right. You win. Then that's it. No one can do anything to us if they come looking for trouble. Night Sorrow nodded and drank his tea. Night Sorrow studied Array Dao every day. In addition, he watched the army train. The god-slaying team also trained with the army. Everyone's cultivation improved very quickly, especially Tianyu and Yimei. Both of them were now Saint Kings. Night Sorrow had to admire them for this. Talented monster beasts were powerful. Some bottlenecks did not exist at all. Returning to Origin, which had blocked countless people, was nothing to them. Some others had also entered the Saint Realm because Night Sorrow had given them a batch of Saint Crystals. There was no problem for them to enter the Saint Realm. Night Sorrow told them that if they wanted to practice combat, they could train with the Nine Heavens Army. If they wanted to improve their cultivation, they had to return to Sky City. Night Sorrow had his wife bring the space-time pagoda back to Sky City. He didn't need the space-time pagoda now, but many people around him needed it. Night Sorrow did not have to worry about the Heaven Tiger Pass because Nu Lin was there. Nu Lin was quite talented, and with Night Sorrow's support, the other commanders were willing to help him defend the Heaven Tiger Pass. That night Sorrow was resting on the recliner with his eyes closed when Qing Wan came. After inviting Green Phoenix to sit down, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. Is there a problem with the Green Phoenix army? Yes, Junior Brother Yi, you should be clear about the original situation of the Green Phoenix army. After the Thunder army left, their strength decreased a lot. Later on, they merged with the Green Qilin army. Speaking of which, it was to fight with you. Now that this situation is no longer necessary, I plan to make some changes. The formation of the Nine Heavens Army has indeed decreased the strength of the Azure Qilin and Green Phoenix armies. You can ask Master to see if he can replenish the troops. Night Sorrow knew that the strength of the Azure Qilin and Green Phoenix armies was not as good as before. Father said that he won't ask about the matters of the armies now. You can make the decision. Green Phoenix said. Her face was a little unnatural. She was the real princess, but now she had to listen to Night Sorrow. Mainly because she had made things difficult for Night Sorrow some time ago, so she was a little embarrassed at this moment. The Nine Heavens Army has 7 armies, but they are all newly formed. Now is a special time, so we can't touch them. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. I don't have any ideas about the Nine Heavens Army. Junior Brother Night, see if you can give a military order to Pine Yuan City's army to have Azure Qilin and Green Phoenix replenish an army each. Only then can our army be considered complete. Green Phoenix hurriedly explained. She did not want Night Sorrow to misunderstand that she was thinking about the Nine Heavens Army. A while ago, Pine Yuan City replenished our Nine Heavens Army with 2 armies. We don't know if they still have the ability to do so. Rashly giving a military order might make things difficult for them. How about this, let's go to Pine Yuan City and see what the army there has to say. Night Sorrow said. Then many thanks, Junior Brother Night. Green Phoenix stood up and cupped her hands towards Night Sorrow. SQ is the fastest go, cool 2 craftsman. Afterwards, Night Sorrow brought Summer City and Qing Emperor's guard squad to Pine Yuan City. Pine Yuan City's army was very courteous when they saw Night Sorrow. Now that Night Sorrow was the Empire's #1 commander, he could command all the armies and guards. It's like this. Azure Qilin and Green Phoenix armies are not fully staffed and want to replenish. Pine Yuan City replenished the Nine Heavens army with 2 armies a while ago, so I came to see if the situation allows Azure Qilin and Green Phoenix armies to expand. Night Sorrow explained his intentions. This is a bit rushed, but your majesty can give this subordinate 3 months. Right now, we are all new. If we rashly transfer them away, their combat strength will also be a problem. Pine Yuan City's army commander said. Alright, then I'll trouble you. When the time is right, replenish Azure Qilin and Green Phoenix armies. By the way, I'm not overstepping my authority by asking about this matter, right? Night Sorrow asked. Not at all. This doesn't count. Right now, everything in Pine Yuan City should be reported to your majesty. It's just that there have been many things recently, so this subordinate wasn't in a hurry. Pine Yuan City's army commander bowed. Afterwards, Night Sorrow brought his men and Green Phoenix back to the 9 grand floors. The situation is like this. Princess can only wait for 3 more months. Thank you, Junior Brother Knight. Thank you for your magnanimity and for not bickering with Green Phoenix. Green Phoenix cupped her hands towards Night Sorrow. Today, she had seen Night Sorrow's magnanimity and felt a bit guilty. It's nothing. If there are any problems with your defense line, let me know. Night Sorrow shook his head. Looking at Green Phoenix's departing figure, Summer City said, Your Majesty really doesn't care about her and Azure Qilin being ostracized? What's there to care about? Her father's empire having some thoughts is understandable. Let's just let it pass. The main thing is that I can't make Master unhappy. Night Sorrow said. Yes, His Majesty taking you as his disciple is really worry-free. Summer City said. The two of them didn't know that Zhang Taiyang had already arrived at the Qing Emperor's city. He hid his cultivation and walked around the Qing Emperor's city. It was easy for him to find the 9 grand floors. Then, he stayed in an inn not far from the 9 grand floors. He wanted to observe the situation. Night Sorrow was very important to him. The King of Time and Space dual attributes was worthy of him using the heaven-seizing technique. In the world of reincarnation, there were many King of Life, Death, and Space, but almost none of the King of Time attribute. The Time attribute was very difficult to comprehend. It was the most powerful attribute in the world of reincarnation. Zhang Taiyang felt that if he could use the heaven-seizing technique on Night Sorrow, regardless of whether he could break through the bottleneck, his battle strength would increase greatly. He would be able to suppress the few big shots in the world of reincarnation. Not long after Zhang Taiyang stayed in the inn, Datura also appeared. She was wearing a simple black dress with Datura flowers embroidered on it. It was very unique. Chapter 1933. Night Sorrow felt a little strange. He couldn't describe this feeling, but he felt a little uneasy. He brewed a pot of heart-cleansing tea, but it was still the same. He didn't understand the situation. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow asked Hong Yi to teleport to 7 Night City and City in the Sky to take a look. He also instructed the guards of the Interrealm teleportation formation. Then, he went to Sky Tiger Pass to check on everything. After that, Night Sorrow brought Summer City to the Merit Hall of the Qing Emperor's palace to exchange for the secret method to refine the Interrealm teleportation stone. He planned to find time to refine the Interrealm teleportation stone. Only then could the 9 regions world truly rest in peace, Wuyo. Night Sorrow also asked about it. His contribution points in the Qing Emperor's palace had already reached 3 million. This was a report from the military after several wars. The Qing Emperor had personally approved it. Contribution points were hard currency. They could be exchanged for cultivation time in the reincarnation palace, resources, and so on. Night Sorrow didn't need to exchange for anything. He now had 130 years of cultivation time in the reincarnation palace. When he needed it, it would probably be the next time he went into seclusion. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow took the teleportation formation to Seven Nights City and refined the interrealm teleportation stone. In other words, as long as he didn't bring anyone with a higher cultivation than him, they wouldn't be able to enter the Nine Regions world through the teleportation formation. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he didn't need to deal with the teleportation formation connected to the Wuji world. Yen Tianpa wouldn't allow King to enter the Wuji world. The teleportation formation was connected to his soul. As long as someone's cultivation was higher than him, he would be alerted and could control the teleportation. After doing this, Night Sorrow felt a little more at ease. Then, he took the teleportation formation back to the Nine Regions building. Your Highness should be relieved now. The Nine Regions world is impregnable. Even a powerhouse can't forcefully attack it, Summer City said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Nine Regions world was safe, but he was still a little nervous. However, he didn't say anything else. At this moment, a figure appeared outside the Nine Regions building. A large hand grabbed towards Night Sorrow. How dare you! Summer City took a step forward and slashed out with his saber. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. A cold voice rang out as the giant hand in the air smashed downwards. Damn it, so you're Zhan Taiyang, that shameless old man. Summer City slashed furiously with his saber, but the big fist in the air kept smashing down. Your Highness, let's go. Summer City roared angrily. He was no match for Zhan Taiyang. Zhan Taiyang was a sky pillar with a cultivation level higher than the monarch realm. He was just stuck at a bottleneck and had not reached the 9th rank. He was not someone he could fight against. If you want to stop me, then you can die. He can forget about leaving as well. Soaring fire sky. Zhan Taiyang, who was in the air, spread out his left hand and countless flames surrounded the 9 stories pavilion. You're not qualified to kill my Summer City. Your Highness, stand behind me. 7 killers of the universe. Summer City waved his saber and gathered the energy of heaven and earth. He wanted to kill his way out and take Night Sorrow away. With a muffled sound, Zhan Taiyang's fist was shattered by Summer City. Summer City brought Night Sorrow out of the pavilion, but he was blocked by Zhan Taiyang again. You don't know what's good for you. Then die. Zhan Taiyang's body danced. His right hand gathered red and black energy and attacked Summer City. With a muffled sound, Summer City's body was pushed back and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhan Taiyang's will was complete and he was not someone he could fight against, so he was severely injured. Zhan Taiyang, you're courting death. At this moment, an angry roar rang out. Then, a sword light appeared. This sword light seemed to have cut open space and the world as it slashed towards Zhan Taiyang. It was the Qing Emperor. The Qing Emperor had arrived. When Zhan Taiyang attacked, Summer City had sent a message. Even if Summer City did not send a message, Zhan Taiyang's all-out attack had attracted the attention of the Qing Emperor. After the Qing Emperor arrived, he started fighting with Zhan Taiyang in the sky above the 9 grand floors. He was furious. Night Sorrow was his favorite disciple. Now that Zhan Taiyang attacked Night Sorrow, it was the same as slapping his face. How could he not be angry? Uncle Summer, how are you? Night Sorrow supported Summer City and fed Summer City elixir of life and elixir of origin. This shameless old man. Summer City cursed. Now that Master is here, everything will be fine. Uncle Summer, heal your wounds first. Night Sorrow helped Summer City sit down and watched the battle in the sky. Zhan Taiyang did not want to expose himself at first, but after observing for a while, he realized that Summer City was Night Sorrow's follower and would not leave Night Sorrow's side. He had no choice but to get Summer City under his control first. After all, he was not afraid of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. However, He did not expect Summer City to be so strong that he stopped him directly. Qing Emperor, I want this disciple of yours. Go and get another one. A figure flew out from Zhang Taiyang's body and rushed towards Night Sorrow. A big hand grabbed Night Sorrow and dragged him away. This figure was Zhang Taiyang's clone. He realized that he could not defeat the Qing Emperor, so he did not want to waste any more time. Chapter 1934. Looking at Night Sorrow, who was captured, Qing Emperor actually compromised. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that Night Sorrow would no longer participate in the army battle. Hee. There is no room for discussion. I will take him away. You can't stop me. You reap what you sow. Datura shook his head. Do you really want me to fight to the death with you? Qing Emperor's long sword flowed with a green light. It could be seen that his emotions were fluctuating. Master, this disciple has troubled you. But what can she do to me? Go. Night Sorrow roared. A green light appeared on his body. He broke through space with his storage ring and weapons and entered the space turbulence. What did you do? Datura looked at Night Sorrow suspiciously and asked. I didn't do anything. I gave away all the important things on me. Now, I am just a clone. You can kill me if you want. Using me to threaten my master? You think too much. Night Sorrow said coldly. Haha. Good. Qing Emperor laughed loudly. You want to challenge me? Who do you think I am? I have never been threatened by anyone. I have many ways to make you compromise. Datura's energy that wrapped around Night Sorrow vibrated. Who knows, it might shatter Night Sorrow in the next moment. Are you trying to scare me? There is no harm in telling you. What just left was the world's origin. I am the Realm Lord. In my world, I am immortal. Can you bite me? Let me tell you, from today onwards, I will fight you. Master, don't be threatened by him. I have a treasure that can accelerate space. Cultivating a clone will take a few years. Night Sorrow looked coldly at Datura. How much soul energy do you have to cultivate a clone? Datura narrowed his eyes and looked at Night Sorrow. I'm sorry, but I refined a bunch of supplement spirit pills. Do you think I'm not afraid of losing my clone? Night Sorrow said with a smile on his face. Alright, let's see how she's going to play. At worst, you can just disperse this avatar. Master will help you settle your grudge. Qing Emperor was also confident in his heart because Datura really couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow. New Chapter O. Cool craftsman Datura grabbed Night Sorrow and left in a flash. Qing Emperor didn't chase after him because it was useless. Night Sorrow was in Datura's hands, and he couldn't snatch it away. At this time, Summer City had recovered a little. Your Majesty, it's my fault for not protecting Night Sorrow well. No one can protect him. Night Sorrow should have dispersed his avatar directly. That way, I could have fought and helped him vent his anger, Qing Emperor said with a frown. It's not that His Highness doesn't have guts. It's just that His Highness's original body is cultivating in the Samsara Palace. If his avatar died at this time, it would affect his original body's cultivation, Summer City said. I see. Then let's wait. Summer City, you go back with me first. When Night Sorrow comes back, you can come back. Qing Emperor looked at Summer City and said. His Highness isn't here. I have to look after the house. I'll wait for His Highness in the Nine Chong Tower, Summer City said. When they returned to the Qing Emperor's palace, Qing Emperor told Xian Daozi and Zhan Tan about this. Bastard. How dare they attack junior brother? Master, I'm going to fight. I'm going to make a river of blood flow in the dark abyss. Zhan Tan's body was full of murderous intent. This matter had crossed his bottom line. Okay. Just teach them a lesson. Remember, after killing them, retreat. Go somewhere else and kill them. Qing Emperor nodded. He was also a man with guts. Datura's actions had angered him. Then Qing Emperor called Tan Lin, asking him to go to the Nine Chong Tower and Sky Tiger Pass to stabilize the Nine Heavens army. But in reality, even if Tan Lin went, it would be useless. The 7 generals of the Nine Heaven army gathered and expressed their stance. The Nine Heaven army would only listen to the imperial decree and Yi Shang's orders. Unless Yi Shang died or Yi Shang personally said that he did not care about the Nine Heaven army anymore, no one else could interfere. If there was a problem, they would resolve it. When Tan Lin returned to report, he thought Qing Emperor would be angry. Unexpectedly, Qing Emperor only nodded and said, "This is what it means to lead an army. Don't ask about the Nine Heavens army for now. They aren't brainless people." Datura brought Night Sorrow to the Dark Abyss and Whitebone Hall. He tossed Night Sorrow into the hall. Datura's dress was embroidered with Datura's flower. Datura then sat down on the Whitebone throne. "You don't have to be so rude. Either you kill me or be more polite. There's no point in beating me up like this," said Night Sorrow as he stood up and tidied up his battle robes after being thrown to the ground. "Ruler, who is this?" Rowan asked. As Rowan spoke, Demon Blood, who was standing in the Whitebone Hall, took action. He punched Night Sorrow and sent him flying. Then, he pulled out his greatsword and slashed at Night Sorrow. "Stop. Demon Blood, you are too impudent." Datura waved his arm, sending Demon Blood flying. "Ruler, please punish me." However, he killed 11 legions of the Dark Abyss. All of the Demon Blood Legion's soldiers died at his hands, Demon Blood said as he knelt on one knee before Datura. Night Sorrow stood up and straightened out his robes again. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Demon Blood. "You still have the face to say that? That wasn't my problem, nor was it the Dark Abyss's problem. A general can't exhaust 1,000 soldiers. You deserve to die. You." Demon Blood wanted nothing more than to cut Night Sorrow into 1,000 pieces. However, without Datura's permission, he didn't dare. "Night Sorrow, tell me. What do you want in order for me to serve you?" Datura asked Night Sorrow. "Then you should just kill me." Night Sorrow didn't refuse. However, his words left no room for negotiation. "You will come to your senses. Men, bring him to the Dragon Bone Hall and lock him up," Datura ordered. Then, someone escorted Night Sorrow to the Dragon Bone Hall and locked him up with a meteorite chain that had been reinforced by an array formation. Night Sorrow wanted to brew tea, but the tea set and wine were in his storage ring. The 9 regions origin bead had taken them away, and they were still flying toward the 9 regions world. With nothing to do, Night Sorrow sat down to meditate and deduce an array formation. 4 hours later, Datura arrived at the Dragon Bone Hall. "How about it? Think about it. Whatever the Qing Emperor can give you, I can give you too. The commander can, and so can His Highness. The Qing Emperor has a son. You aren't the only highness in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, but you can in the Dark Abyss. I have no descendants or disciples. If you agree, you will be the only highness in the Dark Abyss," Datura said as he sat on the main seat in the Dragon Bone Hall. "Ruler, you are very sincere. However, Master has treated me well. I can't betray him. I can only say that I am not fated with the Dark Abyss," Night Sorrow said. "However, you should know that I was the one who saved you from Zhan Taiyang. Do you know who Zhan Taiyang is? Island Lord Duotian. His talent is at the level of trash, but he developed a special technique, the heaven-seizing technique. It can seize other people's talent, opportunities, and luck. Don't be fooled by your avatar. Even if you disperse your avatar, he can still capture your soul power and use some methods. Therefore, you should be grateful," Datura said as he brewed tea. Chapter 1935. You are the first person to speak to me in the Dragonbone Palace. I will give you some tea. Datura waved her arm and the small tea table in front of her flew to Night Sorrow. I am already in this state. Who do I need to be polite to? Night Sorrow took the tea set and started to make tea. Night Sorrow knew very well that it was impossible for him to betray the Qing Emperor's empire. Datura would also not let him go. This doppelganger would definitely be destroyed. The reason why he was delaying it now was so that he would not interrupt the cultivation of his original body. The Dragonbone Palace is where I rest and cultivate. Think about it carefully. If you have any requests, I will definitely satisfy you. I am ruthless, broad-minded, and magnanimous. For example, I offended Zhang Taiyang for the sake of the world of reincarnation's eastern region, Datura said. If you can prove that Zhang Taiyang can hurt my doppelganger, then I, Night Sorrow, will owe you a favor. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea and said. Your favor is useless. I can do whatever you can do. I see that you are a talent. I hope that you will serve me in the dark abyss. Datura glanced at Night Sorrow. She did not care about Night Sorrow's favor. Don't bully the young. Who knows what will happen in the future? Night Sorrow did not take Datura's disdain to heart. Are you really not willing to serve me in the dark abyss? The army of the dark abyss is strong and has more people. It will give you more space to perform. Datura stared into Night Sorrow's eyes and asked. I really hate war. War represents death. Therefore, I really can't serve the dark abyss, Night Sorrow said. Then you should know that I won't let you leave. Also, according to your character recorded in the information, and you've made preparations, why don't you disperse your clone? Why are you in a stalemate with me? Datura was puzzled. Let's not beat around the bush. My main body is currently in cultivation retreat. It is currently in the midst of a state of epiphany. I am not afraid of my doppelganger dying. However, it would disrupt my main body's epiphany. It would be best to minimize the losses. Whenever you want to kill me, just do it, said Night Sorrow after taking a sip of tea. Epiphany. It seems you are really a talent. Datura swayed her skirt and sat on the praying mat to meditate. Night Sorrow also began to meditate. He continued to deduce the array formation and studied the essence of the heaven-locking array and heaven-sealing array. 3 days later, someone came to Dragonbone Palace to request an audience. It was Luo Wen. After Luo Wen entered, he reported to Datura that the Qing Emperor dynasty's sandalwood was massacring the towns and fortresses of the Dark Abyss. Several city lords, commanders, and generals had already been killed. Is this guy crazy? Datura frowned. That lunatic said that as long as we imprison his junior brother, Night Sorrow, he will slaughter the Dark Abyss. Those city lords and generals can't stop him at all. His targets are the leaders of some of the Dark Abyss's cities and armies, Luo Wen reported. It seems the bond between brothers is deep. Night Sorrow, you have been in the Qing Emperor dynasty for less than a year, right? Why would Sandalwood risk his life for you? Datura looked at Night Sorrow in confusion. I can do anything for senior brother. Senior brother naturally wouldn't stand by and do nothing while I am imprisoned, Night Sorrow said. You can do anything for him? It seems the relationship between you two isn't simple. Datura discovered the meaning behind Night Sorrow's words. That's right. Senior brother is imprisoned in the Devil's Ceiling Tower by Master. I often visit him. We are the only disciples under Master, so we naturally have to support each other. Night Sorrow nodded. You were the one who cured his madness? Datura asked after some thought. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Genuine Edition. One first shot. This wasn't because Datura was smart. It was because Sandalwood had been imprisoned for 5 million years. If the Qing Emperor and the others could cure him, Sandalwood wouldn't have been so crazy. Night Sorrow had been in the Qing Emperor dynasty, and Sandalwood had recovered. The two were naturally related. Yes. Night Sorrow didn't try to hide it. It seems you are quite capable. Tell Sandalwood that Night Sorrow is a guest in the dark abyss. I have no plans to kill him yet. If he acts recklessly again, I will immediately kill his junior brother, Datura instructed Rowan. Ruler, don't we need to send someone to kill him? Rowan asked in a low voice. If I don't act, no one in the dark abyss can kill him. At most, they can force him to retreat. It's meaningless. Just follow my orders. He will retreat. Datura waved his hand, dismissing Rowan. Glancing at Night Sorrow, Datura continued to meditate. Now that Night Sorrow wasn't willing to compromise, there was nothing she could do. Killing him was just a clone. There wasn't much point in doing so. It was useless to force him. When he couldn't bear it or wasn't willing to bear it, Night Sorrow would disperse the clone. When that happened, Datura would have done all her work for nothing. Not only would she have offended the Qing Emperor, but she would also have offended Zhang Taiyang. Of course, Datura wasn't afraid, but she would still be at a disadvantage. Sandalwood retreated, but before he left behind a message. If anything happened to Night Sorrow's clone, he would carry out an endless slaughter in the dark abyss. A threat was a threat. After returning to the Qing Emperor's palace, Sandalwood reported to the Qing Emperor. He didn't want to force Datura too much. After all, it was better not to lose Night Sorrow's clone. You did the right thing. Your junior brother is fine in her hands. The worst outcome would be your junior brother losing one of his clones. If it fell into Zhang Taiyang's hands, that would be a huge problem. Datura helped us this time. Qing Emperor said. Your Majesty, many people have their eyes on His Highness Night Sorrow. The fact that Zhang Taiyang and Mandela took action proves this point. He is different from Her Highness Sandalwood. When Her Highness Sandalwood traveled the world, she already had the ability to protect herself. His Highness Night Sorrow is still lacking, said Xian Daozi. Not really. Night Sorrow is a realm lord. His ability to protect himself is still very strong. Unless he meets an evil person like Zhang Taiyang. However, Zhang Taiyang also suffered heavy losses this time. Qing Emperor said. Your Majesty, you can tell His Highness that if he meets with danger next time, he can just disperse his clone and leave with the world origin bead wrapped in his soul power. That way, the enemy can't do anything. Xian Daozi said. Let's wait for Night Sorrow to return. Let's see how he and Datura will end this time. Qing Emperor nodded. He felt that he had overlooked some problems. Datura was very quiet. After knowing that Sandalwood had retreated, she had been meditating quietly every day. She didn't send out any troops to fight the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Night Sorrow had been deducing formations every day because he had nothing to do other than making tea to calm himself down. Although he was chained by the meteorite iron, Night Sorrow had a rare moment of peace. Datura was the dark ruler. The tea he drank was of the highest quality. Night Sorrow had been making tea every day and studying formations. It was very relaxing. Chapter 1936. Commander, you can let someone else do this. You don't have to do it yourself, Nu Lin said. The soldiers of Sky Tiger Army were killed, and I have to bear most of the responsibility. I can't run away from this. I have to bear the consequences of my actions. Just do as I say. Night Sorrow rejected Nu Lin's suggestion. He had to kill Chi Du then. Night Sorrow set up a teleportation array in Sky Tiger Pass. The main reason was that Heaven Tiger Pass could not afford to lose the teleportation crystal in its main teleportation array. Now, using a teleportation crystal that could be cut into a teleportation crystal to set up the teleportation array was enough. After setting up the teleportation array, Night Sorrow brought people out of Sky Tiger Pass. To make it less of a target, Night Sorrow only brought Summer City, Fei Xiu, and the Scout. Red Coat and Blue Shadow left Night Sorrow in Sky Tiger Pass. After leaving Sky Tiger Pass, Night Sorrow closed the sealed Sky Matrix. Then, under the guidance of the scout, they went to the area where the Chi-Do army was and set up an ambush. Your Highness, we don't know how they're going to move the armies. We only know that Akatsuki has formed an army. Will this plan work? Summer City asked. It will. No matter how they move, we just have to keep an eye on the Chi-Do army. When the other two armies can't help, that's when we can eat them up, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow felt that no matter how the Red Emperor's armies moved, the three armies couldn't move together. As long as the three legions split up to deal with the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix legions, that would be his chance. As long as the Sky Heart and Crimson Painting legions were 2 to 4 hours away from the Qi capital, he would dare to make a move. Summer City nodded. He could see that Night Sorrow was determined to kill Chi-Do. Night Sorrow waited for news. He had spies by his side, and the spies' main bodies were in the Heaven Tiger Pass. If there were any battle reports, they would inform him immediately. The Red Emperor's army was very efficient. This was also Akatsuki's first time leading an army into battle. The Red Emperor's officials cooperated fully. In just 2 days, Akatsuki's men were marching toward Sky Tiger Pass. After hearing the report from the scout, Night Sorrow waved his arm. Very good, it seems like the army is changing their defense. Akatsuki's men, Ma Chong, will be blocking the front. However, at Heaven Tiger Pass, Chiwa and the Crimson Dew army will be leaving to block Qinglin and Qingwan. Once they move, it will be our chance. That was Summer City's evaluation of Night Sorrow. He felt that Night Sorrow was always able to find the crux of the problem. Chi-Do was being targeted. This was bad luck. Chi-Do received the notice to wait for the Sky Heart army to arrive. He would then go and fight the Green Phoenix army. Chi-Do was convinced by the Red Emperor's arrangements. Although Night Sorrow didn't give him face and he wanted to kill Night Sorrow, he knew that his men couldn't fight against the Nine Heaven army alone. I hope the Crown Prince can intimidate the Nine Heaven army and kill Night Sorrow. Sector Lord? Even a Sector Lord can fall. Chi-Do murmured. Night Sorrow was thinking about dealing with him. He also wanted to kill Night Sorrow quickly. After all, for countless years, no one had dared to humiliate him. If we want to get rid of him completely, we still need to solve the problem of his original body. The old man beside Chi-Do said. This old man's name was Gan Qing. He was the personal bodyguard that the Red Emperor had arranged for Chi-Do. He was also very strong. This bastard is a Sector Lord. His original body is hiding in the Nine Regions world. It is indeed very difficult to kill him. At that time, it was all because of that bitch Green Phoenix. If she didn't interfere, then Night Sorrow might have surrendered to the Nine Heaven world. Chi-Do said. Prince, if you perform well, there might be a possibility of marriage. There is still a chance. Gan Qing said. He knew that his young master had always been thinking about Green Phoenix. Yes, after the war, I will find a chance to bring people to slaughter the Nine Heaven world. The Red Emperor's empire and the Qing Emperor's empire are opponents. What can we do if we attack the world they protect? Chi-Do's eyes were full of ferocity. This isn't appropriate. If the Qing Emperor's empire reacts strongly, then the subordinate world of our Red Emperor's empire will also be attacked. Gan Qing was a little worried. He was worried that if Chi-Do really did this, it would easily lead to very serious consequences. If the Red Emperor was really angry, then Chi-Do's position in the Red Emperor's empire would drop. He, as a protector, wouldn't have any benefits. I will report this to my father. I may have to pay a price. However, it will cause a knot in Night Sorrow's heart and a serious negative impact on his soul. It is worth it. After all, Night Sorrow is now the first commander of the Qing Emperor's empire. He is also the beloved disciple of the Qing Emperor. If something happens to Night Sorrow, his soul will be covered in dust and he will not be able to recover. I think it is still worth it. Chi-Do said his thoughts. LLDKT +6 version debuts. After listening to Chi-Do's explanation, Gan Qing felt that it was quite appropriate. After all, Night Sorrow was a very important person in the Qing Emperor's empire. As for the Qing Emperor's empire attacking the subordinate world of the Red Emperor's empire, then the Red Emperor's empire would also retaliate. Both sides would suffer losses, and the final result would still be reconciliation. 2 days later, the Sky Heart Corps arrived 200 miles away from the Sky Tiger Pass and set up camp. At the same time, the Red Emperor's empire's army's order officially arrived. It ordered Qihua and Qidu to lead their men to attack the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix Corps. If the Nine Heaven Corps appeared in the area attacked by the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix Corps, then the Sky Heart Corps would rush over to help. After receiving the order, both Qihua and Qidu moved and teleported to the nearest city. This caused Night Sorrow's plan to fail. He, Summer City, and Fei Xiu also went to the nearest city. After asking around, they found out that the Qidu Corps had teleported to Jinling City, and that Jinling City was close to where the Green Phoenix Corps was attacking. Night Sorrow brought the few people around him and teleported to Jinling City. After arriving at Jinling City, Night Sorrow found out about the Qidu Corps' movements. The Qidu Corps was stationed outside of Jinling City. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that the Qidu Corps was waiting. He wanted to find out the Green Phoenix Corps' movements and then deal a heavy blow to the Green Phoenix Corps. Inform Nu Lin, tell Qing Lin and the Qing Yuan army to stop fighting for now, Night Sorrow said to the messenger beside him. Night Sorrow did this to stop the Qidu Corps from moving. This way, he would have a chance to deal with them. Your Highness, are you planning to deal with the Qidu Corps here? But this place is only an hour away from Jinling City. It's too close. There will be endless reinforcements. It will be very difficult to take them down, Summer City said. Night Sorrow pointed his space splitter spear at the sky. Then, under the arrangements of the various generals, the Nine Heavens Legion began teleporting. All the soldiers were excited. They only knew one thing, and that was that the commander had already arranged everything. All they had to do was kill the enemy. Feeling that one teleportation formation was too slow, Night Sorrow set up another one that was connected to the Sky Tiger Pass's main teleportation formation. This way, the Nine Heavens Legion could quickly teleport. This way, they could retreat faster. When they retreated, they just had to destroy the teleportation formation that was connected to the main teleportation formation. As he watched the soldiers of the Nine Heavens Legion continuously teleport away, Yishan looked at Xia Cheng. Uncle Xia, you can set off now. Based on the time, we will begin our operation in 2 hours. While you destroy the teleportation array, we will also start fighting. Fei Xiu, Nu Lin, I shouldn't have left His Highness' side. However, this mission must be completed by me. His Highness' safety depends on you. Nothing must happen to him. Otherwise, even if we kill all the soldiers from the Red Emperor's kingdom, we will still lose. Summer City looked at Fei Xiu, Nu Lin, and the others. All the generals nodded at Summer City. Then, Summer City set off. Nu Lin, arrange for people to set up another teleportation formation. When we leave, we must be fast. This time, it will be a blitzkrieg. Once we finish killing, we will leave. No matter what tactics the Red Emperor's kingdom uses, they will not be able to surround us. Night Sorrow instructed Nu Lin. Nu Lin nodded. He would carry out Night Sorrow's instructions to the best of his ability. The Nine Heavens Legion did not have a Sky Adept Matrix Master, but there were many Matrix Masters who could set up teleportation formations. Night Sorrow calculated the time. The time for the attack was about to arrive. Qing Emperor's Kingdom Guard, set up a formation and protect His Highness. Remember to stay close to him, Fei Xiu said. My Highness, Captain Fei Xiu will stay by your side. 7 Ju and I will destroy the teleportation formation. Qidu should have elites around him. You must have someone by your side, Qin Leitang said. Alright, then get ready. We won the battle against the Dark Abyss. This will be the battle that will determine our victory against the Red Emperor's kingdom. It's about time. Prepare for battle. Night Sorrow exhaled and gave the order. Everyone in the Nine Heavens Legion unsheathed their weapons and waited for the order. I don't have any requests for you. Just come back alive. The celebratory wine at Sky Tiger Pass is waiting for you. When you kill the enemy, protect every brother by your side. Night Sorrow looked at the soldiers of the Nine Heavens Legion who were filled with killing intent. Then, he activated the Sealing Sky Kill Matrix. The wind and clouds changed, and the energy on the ground rolled. The Sealing Sky Kill Matrix was activated, enveloping the Chi-Du army's camp and the area where the soldiers of the Nine Heavens Legion were. Night Sorrow also activated the Illusion Matrix. The Nine Heavens Legion charged at the unprepared Chi-Du army. Qin Leitang and Seven Ju found the location of the teleportation formation. They led their men and charged over. Before the enemy could react, they destroyed the teleportation formation. Slaughter. The 6 armies of the Nine Heavens Legion had a combination formation. Against the unprepared Chi-Du army, it was a one-sided slaughter. Night Sorrow led the Qing Emperor's Guard and the strongest Angry Lin army to charge towards the main tent where Chi-Du was. Those who blocked the way were directly cut down. Soon, the group of people reached the main tent. Chi-Du and Gan Qing led their guards and glared at Night Sorrow. How is this possible? Chi-Du could not believe what he was seeing, because the 4 legions under his command were finished, and only a small portion of his men were left to resist. Nothing is impossible. When you used the Nine Heavens World Group to threaten me, I decided to kill you. At that time, it was because of our personal grievances. I endured it. But this time, you killed thousands of soldiers of the Sky Tiger Legion. I can't endure it anymore. The soldiers' souls can't wait either. Today, you will die. Night Sorrow pointed his space splitter spear at Chi-Du, Gan Qing. Kill him at all costs. Chi-Du's eyes were bloodshot as he roared at Gan Qing. I will take the prince away. For Gan Qing, protecting Chi-Du was the #1 priority. He knew that killing Night Sorrow would be difficult. Although no one here was stronger than him, Angry Lin and Fei Xiu were all monarchs. There was also a team of Qing Emperor's Guard. Night Sorrow wouldn't be so easy to kill. This is an order. Kill. Chi-Du roared and charged towards Night Sorrow. Qing Emperor's Guard, form a formation and kill. Fei Xiu didn't move. He shouted at the Qing Emperor's Guard. The Qing Emperor's Guard, the 3 high-level kings, were far stronger than those of the same level. In addition, they cultivated a combination formation. Fei Xiu felt that he could stop Chi-Du, even if he was a monarch. Chapter 1938. Someone has been here. The iceberg broke not long ago. They must have taken something away, a man in black said. Someone must have been here. They must have a map. I don't know who they are, but that's not important. What's important is that they are going to die, another man said. Young master is right. Their opportunity is your highness' opportunity, said the man who spoke first. They were from the celestial sect in the world of reincarnation. Their leader was the young master of the celestial sect, Ling Ju. The celestial sect didn't have a sky master, but even if they did, they wouldn't provoke them easily. That was because the celestial sect's inheritance was terrifying. Even without a sky master, they could still unleash the power of a sky master. As one of the young masters, Ling Ju was very powerful. He was already an 8-star king, but with a secret technique, he could fight against a monarch. Therefore, Ling Ju was confident when facing other teams. The person beside him was his personal guard, Wu Shan, who was also very powerful. Therefore, the 2 of them didn't join the other celestial sect teams. They formed an elite team. Then, Ling Ju and Wu Shan continued along the Black Ice River. Night Sorrow chose to go along the Black Ice River. Naturally, there were others who chose to go along the Black Ice River. It was just that they arrived at different times. Night Sorrow had a map, but it wasn't the only one. It was recorded later. Therefore, some disciples of the big forces had it too. Night Sorrow rode on the ice Qilin and moved much faster than ordinary people. He killed the beasts that blocked his way. If he couldn't kill them, he took a detour. King-level beasts were very intelligent. As long as the other party was willing to back off, they wouldn't kill them. Of course, it was different when the ice Qilin met the ice dragon. It was a natural enemy. Ling Ju and Wushan were also very fast. They moved forward while killing. Night Sorrow avoided beasts, but they didn't. As long as it wasn't a monarch-level beast, they weren't afraid. On this day, when Night Sorrow and the Ice Qilin worked together to kill a 5-star king-level snow lion, Ling Ju and Wushan caught up. Alone? Then don't live. Wushan, take care of him, Ling Ju shouted. Ice Qilin, let's go. Night Sorrow knew that danger had come. He couldn't see through Ling Ju and Wushan's cultivation levels, and he had heard Ling Ju's murderous roar. Night Sorrow's body flashed and landed on the back of the roaring Ice Qilin. He controlled the Ice Qilin to enter the Black Ice River and fly across the river. When he reached the other side of the mysterious Ice River, he let the Ice Qilin crash into the Ice Mountain on the other side of the river. He also attacked with his spear and rushed into the mountain. The Ice Qilin's horn was in front, and it slammed into the Ice Mountain with all its might. Just like the mountain splitter mythical beast, it charged into the mountain. Knock the top down and don't resist, Night Sorrow instructed Ice Qilin. When Ice Qilin collapsed the cave, Night Sorrow's soul power burst out and pulled Ice Qilin into the 8-dragon cauldron. He smashed a bottle of soul-destroying poison and entered the 8-dragon cauldron as well. Then, he mixed the 8-dragon cauldron with the crushed rocks and ice and hid it inside the Ice Mountain. Wushan also arrived in front of the Ice Mountain. When he was about to enter the cave, the Ice Mountain had collapsed, and he could not enter directly. After Ling Ju killed the snow lion, he rushed over as well. Master, the person disappeared when the Ice Mountain collapsed. He might have gone underground or gone deep into the Ice Mountain, Wushan said while bowing. That person is Night Sorrow from the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Ling Ju squinted his eyes and looked at the Ice Mountain. The one with the heavenly artifact? Wushan was stunned. That's right. Otherwise, why would a 3-star king like him be here? He was able to come here because of the heavenly Tao. Perhaps this is our opportunity. Ling Ju waved his arm. Under the vibration of the energy, crushed ice and rocks flew everywhere. He was going into the Ice Mountain. Wushan began to help as well. The heavenly artifact was more important than the ice dragon's bone. As they rumbled, Ling Ju and Wushan entered the Ice Mountain and cleared the collapsed area. However, there was no sign of Night Sorrow in the empty mountain. There was also no tunnel. Strange. Where did he go? Ling Ju was puzzled when he did not see Night Sorrow. Wushan did not say anything because he did not know what was going on either. However, after a while, Wushan's body shook. Something's wrong. Why is my soul being corroded? Wushan's expression changed. His soul was being corroded to a very high degree. If this continued, he would not be able to hold on. Wushan did not have time to say anything else. He sat down on the ground and resisted the attack on his soul. At this moment, Ling Ju's expression changed as well. It was the same for him. His soul was being corroded. Night Sorrow's soul-destroying poisonous smoke had taken effect. Night Sorrow, who was not far from them, felt that this was an opportunity. It was not realistic to kill all of them, but there was a chance to kill one of them. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Night Sorrow ate an antidote for the soul-destroying poisonous smoke and fed one to the Ice Qilin as well. He let the Ice Qilin use its energy to protect its body. Then, he rushed out of the 8-dragon cauldron and used the Great Emperor reincarnation slash on the meditating Wushan. At the same time, he smashed another bottle of soul-destroying poisonous smoke with his left hand. He did not show any mercy. In Night Sorrow's heart, Ling Ju and Wu Shan were different from Bai Yun's team. Ling Ju had already recognized him and would not leave easily. Therefore, he had to think of a way to solve this crisis. If there was a chance to kill him, then he would do it. The purple halo of the Great Emperor reincarnation/enveloped Wu Shan. At this moment, Wu Shan was meditating. When he realized that he was being attacked, he immediately tried to break free from the purple halo's control and used his sword to block Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Following an explosion, Wu Shan's body paused and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His soul was attacked by the soul-destroying poisonous smoke. He suppressed it with all his strength and could not even use 30% of his strength. Dark Mountain had managed to block Yi Shan's attack, but his body had also suffered a violent impact. It was mainly because Yi Shan's attack had been too sudden and he had used his full strength. Dark Mountain had not been able to withstand it. After the collision, Knight Sorrow's soul-destroying slash also attacked Wu Shan's spirit sea and stunned him. However, at this moment, Ling Ju used his sword Qi to force the ice Qilin back and slashed at Knight Sorrow's attack path. Ling Ju knew that Wu Shan was severely injured because he was also greatly affected. However, he could not watch Wu Shan be killed. Wu Shan was his biggest support. Knight Sorrow took 2 steps back and dodged the sputtering sword Qi. Then, he shot out the sky-piercing spear. He used the Void Extreme Kill. The sky-piercing spear, which had been upgraded to a king weapon, streaked across the sky and shot towards Wu Shan's head. Feeling the threat approaching, Wu Shan forcibly suppressed the soul-destroying slash and opened his eyes. He did not have time to dodge or block, so he activated his protective energy to the maximum. Chapter 1939. Okay, then I will continue to cultivate. Be careful. Knight Sorrow hung up the call. Knight Sorrow exhaled and went to the small house by the lake. He was a little confused. Strength, what he lacked was strength. He had to take responsibility for some things. After all, the war between the Qing Emperor and the dynasty was because of him. Knight Sorrow opened a pot of wine and drank while enjoying the breeze. His strength had increased rapidly in the past 4 years. The cultivation of his main attribute was the Void attribute. He was already at the peak of the 6-star King realm. His spacetime willpower was also at the peak of the 4-star King realm. He could advance at any time, but it required time and consolidation. At this time, Xueshi came behind Knight Sorrow and gently hugged Knight Sorrow. No one wanted things to be like this. It will pass. I know, Xueshi. When I am done, marry me. Knight Sorrow turned around and said to Xueshi. Xueshi's eyes were filled with tears. She then bit her lips and nodded. She didn't agree in the past because she felt that the beginning of her relationship with Knight Sorrow was terrible and there was no foundation for feelings. However, after so many years, she knew that Knight Sorrow was serious. She knew very well in her heart. Therefore, when Knight Sorrow proposed again, her heart collapsed. Knight Sorrow didn't stay in the city in the sky. He went directly to the bamboo forest peak in the Medicine Valley and lived an ordinary life again. In the 2nd month after Knight Sorrow's return, the space-time willpower advanced. Knight Sorrow's body and talent attribute had entered the 5-star King realm. This made Knight Sorrow's strength increase again. All the disciples in the Medicine Valley knew that the core pillar of the Medicine Valley, the realm lord of the 9 regions world, Knight Sorrow, was at the bamboo forest peak behind the Taishan peak. However, no one could disturb him. The Medicine Valley had already sealed off the Taishan peak. Other than the elders, no one could enter. An ordinary axe accompanied Knight Sorrow. Every day, he chopped firewood. When he had time, he would deduce the array formation. It was the same for his clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall. In the 4th month, Knight Sorrow's will of nothingness finally evolved, breaking through to 70%. Knight Sorrow roared to the sky. His voice echoed in the Medicine Valley. After years of suppression, he finally took the step forward and entered the senior king level. King's Road was like a staircase, and every step forward was not easy. Night Sorrow could now move forward rapidly because of the help of Samsara Palace. In addition, Night Sorrow also knew that Samsara Palace had given him the greatest display of willpower. Night Sorrow's current achievements were also funded by elixirs. Night Sorrow had taken Thunder Spirit Elixir, and Night Sorrow often took Spirit Perception Elixir to increase his comprehension ability. Night Sorrow's roar stunned the people in the Medicine Valley. They did not know what was going on, but the pressure in the roar made everyone unable to stand up. Monsters and animals all crawled on the ground. After the roar, Night Sorrow breathed a sigh of relief. A 7-star king. Night Sorrow felt that the monarch could not kill him even if he wanted to. He had the attribute of nothingness, which suppressed all other attributes, including willpower and rules. As for speed, the will of time and space was best at speed. Night Sorrow's original body did not plan to come out of seclusion. He wanted to continue. Now, in the battle facing the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the senior king could not do much. Of course, now he was not an ordinary senior king. Not long after, Gong Xian and the others came. Night Sorrow was a little embarrassed because his roar had startled many people. Then Night Sorrow said that he had some breakthroughs. Gong Xian and the others naturally congratulated Night Sorrow. At Night Sorrow's level, every breakthrough was not easy. Night Sorrow did not continue to stay in the Medicine Valley. He returned to the city in the sky. Usually, he sat on the wooden boat by the lake and taught his children how to cultivate. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan also cultivated very hard. They knew that it was not easy for their father. Jun Xuanji often came to report the situation to Yishang. Now, the situation was very stable. The various factions only knew that something had happened to the Azure the Arch and that he was injured, but they did not know the details. The Azure the Arch Empire had also gained Sandalwood, who was extremely powerful. Thus, they were all very cautious. Now that the situation was stable, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. Now that the situation was stable, it was time for him to step up. One day, Night Sorrow was resting by the lake. Jun Xuanji came to tell Night Sorrow that Sandalwood was in the Nine Chong Pagoda and asked Night Sorrow to go back. Night Sorrow arrived at Chia City. He took the teleportation array and arrived at the Nine Chong Pagoda. He saw Sandalwood in the hall. Junior brother, the situation is a little chaotic now. The Qing Emperor's dynasty is not as safe as your world. So, I think it's more appropriate to send Master to your world, Sandalwood said to Night Sorrow. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded. Not bad. You are now a senior king. Master was right, Sandalwood said with a smile when she saw Night Sorrow's cultivation increase again. Then, Night Sorrow and Sandalwood went to the Azure Sky Pavilion. Sandalwood told the Qing Emperor her idea. No, Master can't move. Although we have cleaned up the spies in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, there will still be some. Once someone notices my situation, the situation will not be stable. Sandalwood, you need time to refine the soul cultivation liquid and cultivate the lost art. The Qing Emperor shook his head. I have the teleportation array disc. I can teleport there in an instant. No one will notice. Master, you are safe. Only then can senior brother cultivate in peace, Night Sorrow said. Master, please listen to us this once, Sandalwood said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, Your Majesty, we will listen to the Blood Emperor, Xian Daozi said. At this time, Sandalwood was no longer Her Highness. She was the second most powerful person in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the Blood Emperor. Yes, Your Majesty. Please go. Summer City said. The Qing Emperor nodded. He didn't have much battle power now, so there was no point in staying. In order to avoid being discovered, Night Sorrow used the teleportation array disc to teleport the Qing Emperor to the 9 floors, then to the 7-night city. Not bad. The formation is complete. You did well. The Qing Emperor looked across the teleportation array at the shining ice dragon behind the city lord's mansion and nodded in satisfaction. He was very satisfied that his disciples' cultivation in the art of formations had improved. I won't go to your world. I'll stay here. Xian Daozi, Summer City, you guys go back. Sandalwood needs people by her side. Night Sorrow can stay with me, the Qing Emperor said. Let me stay with your majesty. Xian Daozi didn't want to leave. Why do you have so much to say? My cultivation is destroyed, but I still have my realm and will. Do you think the king can threaten me? Hurry up and go back. The Qing Emperor glared at Xian Daozi. Night Sorrow, your majesty, I'll leave his majesty to you. Xian Daozi bowed to Night Sorrow. Don't worry, Uncle Xian Daozi, Night Sorrow said. I'll take good care of Master. This is all my fault. I'll find a way to make up for it. Your Majesty, that's not what Xian Daozi meant. We'll go back. Xian Daozi shook his head. Chapter 1940. Junior brother, be careful, Qing Wan said. Thank you for your concern, senior sister. I will. Before His Majesty and Lord Blood Emperor come out of seclusion, the two of you will be in charge of dynasty's affairs, Night Sorrow said as he walked out of the hall. We wish you a triumphant return, Your Highness. The people in the Qing Emperor's palace all saluted Night Sorrow. Uncles, do you have anything to prepare? Night Sorrow asked after they left the Qing Emperor's palace. There's nothing to prepare. We'll be ready to kill at any time. We'll listen to Your Highness' command. In the past, Your Highness was able to suppress the Dark Abyss and the Red Emperor's nation. This time, we can also take care of the Celestial Sect, Summer City said. Old man. That's an army battle. There's only the four of us now. Shang Guanhong looked at Summer City with disdain. Tactics with more people and arrangements with fewer people. Let's go back to the 9 grand floors first. I'll make some preparations, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Originally, Night Sorrow was prepared to fight by himself. Now that Summer City and the others were here, he naturally had to be more prepared. After arriving at the 9 grand floors, Night Sorrow took out the spatial copper essence and began to refine the formation discs. After 2 hours, 3 teleportation formation discs were refined. Night Sorrow gave one to each of Summer City. This is for our retreat after the battle. Before the battle, I'll set up a teleportation formation in a safe area. Activate the formation disc and we'll be able to leave instantly and reach the teleportation formation in a safe area. Your Highness, some cities have methods to interfere with the operation of formations. The teleportation formation disc might not work well, Shang Guanhong reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled. I've thought about this before. Important cities will have large-scale arrays set up to interfere with the operation of teleportation arrays and other arrays. However, I have a way to make this interference ineffective. If I discover that the teleportation array is ineffective, I can activate this and cancel out the interference. As he spoke, Night Sorrow took out a few more lockdown formation discs and gave one to each person. Your Highness, you have a lot of treasures here? Xian Daozi and the others were stunned. Don't worry, there's more. This formation disc is an illusion formation disc. Once it's activated, others won't be able to see us if they don't notice us. Everyone should keep this as a backup. I don't know if it'll come in handy. In addition, this is the most crucial one. It's a life-saving formation disc called the Sky Ceiling Illusion Formation. If we encounter a strong enemy and can't handle it, we can activate this formation disc and throw it out. Then, we can activate the teleportation formation disc and run away. Yishang took out 3 of the highest grade array discs he had refined, the Sky Ceiling Illusionary Killing Array, and handed them to Xia Cheng's trio. Your subordinate knows why the Dark Abyss and the Red Emperor's nation lost so miserably. Your Highness's arrangements are foolproof, Xian Daozi said as he fiddled with the formation discs. Nothing is absolute. Anything can happen, so it's only right to have a backup plan. These 3 bottles are antidote pills. If the situation is too bad, then listen to my signal. If I want to poison you, you'll have to take the antidote first. Although it's a bit unscrupulous, this is war. All means are for victory. Against people like the Celestial Sect, I don't care about the curses of others. Night Sorrow gave the soul-extinguishing smoke antidote pills to the 3 people from Summer City. Old man, Xian Daozi, the battle hasn't even started yet. Why am I so excited? Shang Guanhong said as he shook his neck. The Celestial Sect will wait for our revenge. Summer City's eyes shone with a cold light. Also, I want to emphasize that if you 3 uncles come with me, then you have to fight according to the agreed tactics. If you're not harmonious and united, something will happen, Night Sorrow reminded the 3 of them. No problem. If you want to massacre the city, we'll massacre the city. If you want to fight and run, we'll follow behind you, Xian Daozi said. Don't massacre the city. Kill the important people and rob cultivation resources. In other words, rob the city lord's mansion. Fight one battle and change the battlefield. Make them tired and run for their lives. They can't afford it. Night Sorrow explained his plan. It was the tactic he was best at because he had done it many times before. Then, the 4 of them set off. Night Sorrow also brought Ice Qilin. After a few teleportations, the 4 of them entered the territory of the Celestial Sect. Night Sorrow took out a map and marked the area of the Celestial Sect with a number. Uncles, let's play big. The most important cities of the Celestial Sect are Celestial City and Peerless City. Celestial City isn't as big as Peerless City, but it's the mountain gate and origin of the Celestial Sect. This place can't be taken without a powerhouse. Let's go and take care of their real resource and cultural center, Peerless City. Night Sorrow pointed on the map. Okay. Summer City's 3 people nodded. Uncles, you're all sovereigns. It'll be more difficult to sneak in after entering the city. We have to fight as fast as possible. Once we teleport over, we'll start killing and destroying the teleportation formation. Then, we'll rush to the city lord's mansion. After killing people and robbing resources, we won't linger. We'll set the place on fire and leave, Night Sorrow said. Summer City's 3 people nodded. Night Sorrow first went outside the small city and set up a hidden teleportation formation. Then, he met up with the 4 people from Summer City. This small city was 1,000,000 miles away from Peerless City. It was the furthest distance from the teleportation formation. In the evening, Night Sorrow and Summer City's 3 people arrived at the teleportation formation in this small city. They began teleporting towards Peerless City. As soon as they stepped out of the teleportation formation, someone shouted, "Who are you?" Sovereigns must report to the city lord's mansion and explain their intentions. I'm here to kill people. Report my ass. Summer City's man waved his hand and slashed. Net Carrot Premier won. The guards of the teleportation formation were also sovereigns. However, they couldn't compare to Summer City's peak sovereigns. They were directly suppressed by Summer City's gravity mystic skill. Die. Shang Guanhong's long sword was like a poisonous snake. It directly pierced the sovereign's forehead. Xian Daozi also cut down the guards around the teleportation formation. The 3 brothers cooperated very well. They have clones that can send messages. They'll set up a teleportation formation to support us. We don't have much time. Let's go. After removing the teleportation crystal from the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow destroyed the formation with his spear and flew towards the city lord's mansion. After Summer City took the sovereign's storage ring, he, Xian Daozi, and Shang Guanhong followed behind Night Sorrow. They realized that Night Sorrow's speed was terrifying. A 7-star king was actually about the same as them. At this time, Night Sorrow's body was surrounded by the power of space and time. With the help of the space-time willpower, his speed was extremely fast. When they arrived at the city lord's mansion, Night Sorrow first threw out a trap and kill formation disc. He divided the guards into groups. The 4 of them started a massacre. Ice Qilin used the ice sealing domain, completely suppressing the guards below the high-level king level. Uncle Summer, follow me to the warehouse. Uncle Xian Daozi, Uncle Shengguan, kill the important people and steal their storage rings. With a low roar, Knight Sorrow waved his space splitter spear and charged towards the city lord's mansion. Chapter 1941. The main reason was that Summer City, Xian Daozi, and Shangguan Hong were not ordinary sovereigns. They had cultivated for countless years, and their foundation and strength were far beyond theirs. The guards in the warehouse had high cultivations, but they could not withstand Knight Sorrow's Great Emperor Reincarnation / and Summer City's Universe 7 assassins. After entering the warehouse, Knight Sorrow's soul power exploded, and all the resources and materials were moved into the empty spirit pearl. Summer City collected the storage rings of the people they killed. After moving the materials, Knight Sorrow and Summer City went to the city lord's mansion again. At this time, Shangguan Hong and Xian Daozi's eyes were bloodshot, and the ground was littered with corpses. Small fries are no fun. Let's kill those with high cultivations in the array, and then rush out, setting fire as we go. Knight Sorrow's body flashed, and he landed on the back of the mystical ice unicorn tiger. Then, he put away the trap array disc, and the space splitter spear kept swinging, attacking the people who rushed up. Summer City's saber kept attacking, and every move was fatal. Shangguan Hong's longsword was as sharp as a poisonous snake. He was also of the fire element, and during the gap in the battle, he released fire energy to set the city lord's mansion on fire. After Xian Daozi put away the storage rings, he followed Knight Sorrow, Summer City, and Xian Daozi. They killed and rushed out, and at the same time, they kept setting fire. The four of them flew very fast. Even if there were reinforcements, they would not be able to catch up so quickly. After a quarter of an hour, the four of them rushed out of the city. Go back and tell Ling Tian that we will fight to the death. Uncles, let's go. Knight Sorrow shouted at the pursuing peerless city guards. He waved at Summer City and activated the teleportation array disc. At this time, the pursuers were still some distance away, so they had enough time to activate the teleportation array disc. Knight Sorrow had just returned to the teleportation array he left behind when Summer City and the others came back. Haha. It's so comfortable. Peerless City's city lord's mansion has been picked by us. For countless years, no one has been able to do so, and I don't think anyone has ever thought of doing so. Shangguan Hong laughed loudly. Ling Tian, that old thing, is probably going to vomit blood from anger. Summer City nodded. He was also incomparably carefree. Let's drink and take a break. We'll continue. If we don't torture them to death, then we'll consider ourselves useless. Knight Sorrow took out a few jars of wine and distributed them to everyone. Then, he took out all the resources he had plundered from the city lord's mansion. Your Highness, what are you doing? Summer City asked. Once the robbery is successful, we'll split the loot on the spot. In one night, they had plundered 3 cities before the 4 of them rested. They couldn't enter the cities, so they set up tents in the wilderness. Summer City caught wild beasts, and the few of them roasted meat and drank wine. Comfortable. No wonder this old man is living so comfortably. Who could live such a comfortable life? Shangguan Hong looked at Xian Daozi and pointed at Summer City. No pressure. Just focus on fighting. Don't think about anything else. It is indeed comfortable, Xian Daozi said. I'm willing to be comfortable. This time, His Highness is willing to bring you along. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had anything to do, Summer City said to Shangguan Hong. Summer City and the others drank wine and rested while chatting. Knight Sorrow looked at the map and sat on it to mark. Your Highness, how far can this battle go? Xian Daozi looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Killing them until they're convinced is unrealistic. At the very least, they'll be so scared that they'll close the teleportation portal and not dare to go out. Also, they'll send out Heaven Master level puppets to ambush us in the city, Knight Sorrow said as he closed the map. Your Highness, that means there's some risk. How about this, we 3 old men will do it. You can go back, Summer City said. He didn't want Night Sorrow to be in danger. No, I have to join the battle. They injured my master. This matter isn't over. If I don't kill them, then I'm afraid I'm useless. Night Sorrow came out to train his heart through battle. How could he go back? After resting for a day, Night Sorrow led Summer City and the others to attack the celestial sex cities again. They robbed, killed, set fire, and then ran. Summer City's trio and Night Sorrow's cooperation was very good. After the battle began, they knew what to do without Night Sorrow's command. The 3 of them, who had been stable for many years, were now very scary when they went crazy. The world was shaken. Chapter 1942. Grand. Night Sorrow's wedding was much grander than Sandalwood's wedding. It was not because the Qing Emperor was biased, but because Night Sorrow's circle was wider. The 9 regions world aside, in the world where Night Sorrow came from, he was the realm lord, so he had the highest social status. It was the same in the 9 Clouds world group. He fought for the safety of the 9 Clouds world group, so those who were sensible all remembered Night Sorrow's favor. In the Samsara world, in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow was almost above everyone else. The Qing Emperor had announced that Night Sorrow was in charge of everything in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. In addition to the position of His Highness, he was also the regent. This was because Night Sorrow was not willing to take over the position of emperor. He was willing to be the emperor now. The Crimson Emperor Kingdom originally had a grudge against Yishang, but after a few joint battles and the fact that the Crimson Emperor Kingdom was in the wrong, the Crimson Emperor and the others no longer minded. The Li brothers of the Black Fiend Valley were not good at scheming, so they recognized Night Sorrow as their backer. Since they had a chance to get close to him, they naturally had to do something. 3 top forces of the Black-Yellow Great World came, which was incredible in the eyes of practitioners. It was a great honor for the giants to attend the wedding in person. Tang Jianfeng was there for the sake of the Qing Emperor. They were close friends, but the master of the Wuling Mountain and the Sea King's mansion were there because of the Qing Emperor, but mainly because of Night Sorrow. They did not come to Sandalwood's wedding. Night Sorrow would pay a visit to each of his relatives and friends. Yishang paid a visit to the VIP building where the Sea King's palace master resided. Hai Ling, who was standing beside the Sea King's palace master, was stunned. Aren't you a 7-star sovereign king? It's only been 3 years, yet you're already an 8-star sovereign king? If I'm lucky, I'll be able to break through. Night Sorrow pays his respects to the Manor Lord, said Night Sorrow. Ling, don't believe his nonsense. He's not even 160 years old this year, and he's already an 8-star king. Is he just lucky every time? The Sea King Manor's governor said as he glanced at Night Sorrow. The Sea King's manor master had a head of loose golden hair, and his eyes were bright and full of vigor. He sat there, giving off a dignified air. Your lordship's words are a little too direct. Night Sorrow did not know how to respond to the Sea Monarch's words. Kid, you were still showing off your abilities 3 years ago, and now you've learned how to be tactful, the Sea King Manor's master said. It's not about being tactful. It's better to be humble in front of the seniors. Do things in a high-profile manner and behave in a low-key manner. Night Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea he had brought and began to brew it. Haha. I like to hear this, and it's also true. A 7-star king can challenge the sky-reaching pavilion, and you're the first person to do so since the formation of the Black-Yellow Great World. You have the right to be proud. Ling said that you don't plan to go again. Such a temperament is rare. The Sea King Manor's master had said it as a joke at first, but now he was seriously sizing up Night Sorrow. I won't go again. One should know when to stop. The Sky and Earth Pavilion has given me a chance, and I'm grateful. Some opportunities should be given to future generations, Night Sorrow said. All right, with these words, the Sea King's manor will befriend you. If you need anything, just give me a shout. I won't eat your soft jade tendon pill for nothing, the Sea King Manor's master said with a smile. All right. If the Sea King's manor needs any help, I, Night Sorrow, will do it. I won't delay receiving the message. Night Sorrow nodded. After chatting with the Sea King Manor's master for a while, Night Sorrow went to meet the others. The leakless true body. He actually cultivated the leakless true body. After Night Sorrow left, the Sea King Manor's master exhaled and said, Grandpa, you mean that we can sense his cultivation, but the energy and aura in his body won't leak out at all, right? The loss of energy during a battle is small, which is a great advantage, Hai Ling said. Yes, it can increase one's combat power, reduce energy consumption, and prevent evil from entering one's body. Most importantly, it's the only way to survive the trials of wind and fire. The Sea King Manor's master said something that Hai Ling didn't know. Seeing that his granddaughter didn't understand, the Sea King Manor's master explained it in detail. This guy was rumored to have a heavenly artifact, and now he has the leakless true body. Isn't this a disaster? Hai Ling murmured in a low voice. He won't get into trouble easily now. The main thing is that his momentum has been built. With his current strength, a sovereign is no longer a match for him. It will take some effort for a Sky Master to take him down in an instant. As long as he can't be taken down in an instant, someone will come to his rescue. He's married to Datura, and his master, mistress, and senior brother are all Sky Masters. Who would poke a hornet's nest for no reason, the Sea King Manor's master said. Amazing. When I first met him, I felt that he was not ordinary. Later on, I learned that this guy is terrifyingly powerful. His combat power is strong, his strategy is good, and he does things well, Hai Ling said. When making friends, we have to put aside the concept of benefits and benefits. We don't want to take advantage of others. He has a body of merit. Being friends with him will invisibly increase one's luck. You'll slowly realize it, the Sea King Manor's master said. Only S5 positive? Edition, J, all of them are /H Pirate J8 edition. Hai Ling nodded. She didn't want their friendship to change. You should also go out and visit some of the seniors. You'll have to travel the world in the future, and having one more friend means one more path, the Sea King Manor chief said. Night Sorrow felt very tired. There were many guests that he had to visit. He left in the morning and only returned to the Nine Chong building at night. You rascal, I wanted to have a drink with you, but you were nowhere to be seen. Sandalwood and Yi were chatting with Misty Rain in the 9 Stories building. I have no choice. Since they're here, I have no choice but to pay them a visit. Some want to drink tea, while others want to drink wine. If I don't find an excuse, I don't know how long the two from Blackfiend Valley will drag me to drink, said Night Sorrow. The two bears of the Blackfiend Valley may not be good at strategizing, but once they've set their minds on something, they'll run all the way to the end without any twists and turns, Misty Rain said with a smile. Haha. Yes, I feel that they're quite straightforward. I also apologize today because I killed Li Ying. But judging from their attitude, I think they've moved on from the past, Night Sorrow said. That's good. This time, you've completely exposed yourself in front of everyone. Getting to know these people will only bring you benefits. Although some of your things will bring you trouble, as a Sky Master, they can't just smile in front and stab you in the back. Now that they've expressed their goodwill, they won't turn hostile so easily, Misty Rain said. Right now, the Sima residents and Yuan Dao Tian are not making any moves. As for the Thunder Fire Heaven Lord, he can do whatever he wants. Since we've already shed all pretense of cordiality, I don't care how hostile they are, Night Sorrow said. Shed all pretense of cordiality? Misty Rain frowned. Chapter 1943. But the two of them came to the Qing Emperor's city. This will make the other party suspicious. Zhan Tan said. Probably not. We fought the Blackfiend Valley until they asked for peace. Now that our Qing Emperor's dynasty is holding a wedding, it is reasonable for the Black Fiend Valley to come and congratulate us. Knight Sorrow shook his head. That's right. This isn't much. The main thing is whether the two bears know how to act. If they act well, then the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch will make a mistake and lose the City Lord election. Misty Rain said. After chatting with Misty Rain and Jean Tan for a while, Knight Sorrow arrived at the Heaven Tiger Pass. He wanted to see if Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu were used to it and what the situation was like. After arriving, Knight Sorrow felt more at ease. Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu were already cultivating the joint attack array with the team. This meant that they had already integrated into the god-slaying team. After inviting everyone to his wedding wine, Knight Sorrow left. Captain is really impressive. He can even marry a heaven master now. Ling Long said to Nan Liyue. Haha. This is indeed impressive. I can't help but be impressed. Look at all of them. They all came out at the same time. They are so stupid. Nan Liyue said with a smile. Nan Liyue was already married to Lei Bao. Ho Jian and Ling Long's relationship was also not bad. It was just that they were still lacking in maturity. After returning to the 9-story tower, Knight Sorrow took the teleportation array to the Dark City. He wanted to see Datura. During this period of time, he had been investigating the spatial worlds around the Heaven Mystic World and did not see Datura. In the courtyard, Knight Sorrow saw Datura. However, there was another lady in a red dress. It was the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance, let me introduce you. This is my future husband, Knight Sorrow. This is my good friend, Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. She's the wife of the Sima Manor's manor head, and also a famous big shot, Datura introduced. Knight Sorrow greets the Heavenly Monarch. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch. Then, Knight Sorrow sat down, and Datura got up to make some tea. You better treat Datura better in the future. Otherwise, I will settle the score with you, Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch said. After that, Datura told Knight Sorrow that the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord already knew about the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. She didn't support the Thunderfire Heaven Lord, but her husband had already promised the Thunderfire Heaven Lord and couldn't go back on his words. After chatting for a while, the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord left and went to the Dark Abyss VIP Tower. Knight Sorrow and Datura were engaged, and they definitely had something to talk about. It wasn't appropriate for her to continue. After sending off the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord, Datura looked at Knight Sorrow. We used to know each other, but our relationship wasn't that good. We were just acquaintances, so I didn't mention this to you. Who knew that she would come? Seems like she still cherishes old friendships. The Sima Manor has someone who supports the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. That person has the same number of people as us. We still have some plans to carry out, so we have to reduce their numbers. We can't do anything about losing the strength of the world of reincarnation. Knight Sorrow felt that he still had to kill. If the Fengtian Manor head, who had the worst character, didn't appear, then he would kill the Dark Heaven Lord first. Okay, but don't kill anyone before our wedding. Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Okay, I'll listen to you. I forgot to ask Xuanji about the investigation of the General of Wind and Thunder. I don't know what this person's character is like. If it doesn't work, then kill him. The Thunderfire Heaven Lord wants to be the Lord of Reincarnation City. I won't let him get what he wants. Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow chatted with Datura for a while, then returned to the 9 Chong building. Knight Sorrow received guests every day. The main reason was that there were more guests, and he couldn't leave anyone out. Some of the sovereigns of the 9 Chong world group came, and even Sovereign Yuan Ling came. He couldn't afford to offend Knight Sorrow. This was an opportunity to resolve and ease the conflict, so he couldn't not come. Sovereign No Beginning and Sovereign 7 Reigns didn't come. Both of them were in seclusion, but the people in charge of the two forces came. 7 kills king of endless mountain came with black wind, and 7 rains sovereign's eldest disciple, floating flower king, also came. Their master was in seclusion, but they had to come. This way, the difference in etiquette could be minimized. Sovereign Shinshao, sovereign purple clouds, sovereign Xian Tian, and sovereign sky Scorpio all came. Yi Qianhua also brought Shang-Xi to the Nine Chong building. No matter who it was, those who came to the Nine Chong building were giving face. Night Sorrow received all of them, regardless of whether they had any grudges in the past. Even Night Sorrow's family came out to receive them because Night Sorrow was too busy. There were still 7 days until the official day. Night Sorrow's original body had also broken through, and his spacetime willpower entered the 8-star sovereign realm. There was no time to keep up with his cultivation, so Night Sorrow came out of the pagoda of time and space. Senior, there are still a few days until my wedding day. I have to go back. Night Sorrow bowed to the void. A happy man is in high spirits. Your cultivation has broken through, and you have a beauty. As a person, you should be like Night Sorrow. The origin of Samsara Palace appeared and nodded at Night Sorrow with a smile. Senior, thank you for your care. Night Sorrow will remember. Night Sorrow bowed to the origin of Samsara Palace and left. He took the teleportation formation back to the Nine Chong building and merged with his doppelganger. Junior brother seems to be stronger. Looking at Night Sorrow, Jean Tan said. Just today, I improved again. My secondary attribute advanced. Night Sorrow said. Double happiness, sure. Jean Tan nodded. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow's main body received the guests and accompanied his family and friends. His clone helped Yi complete the creation of the armor. It was a high-grade king equipment. Cug craftsman Net Carrot Yu. While Night Sorrow was receiving guests, there were people in charge of the defense of the Qing Emperor's city. Summer City, Xian Daozi, and Shangguanhong had brought their shadow guards, as well as the Qing Emperor's Guard and the Imperial City Guard. At this time, anyone causing trouble in the Qing Emperor's city would be arrested. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't like to see deaths. If there were any troublemakers, they would be captured and thrown into the Demon's Ceiling Tower, where they would be locked up until they died. However, Night Sorrow didn't know about this, and he didn't ask. There were many heaven pillars in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, and they were all friendly. Anyone who caused trouble would be courting death. As for those below the heaven pillars, the Qing Emperor's Guard and the Imperial City Guard would deal with them directly. On this day, Night Sorrow came back from the VIP tower and saw Bloodthirst in the Nine Chong building. The two were there to apologize to Night Sorrow. They now understood why Rowan said not to provoke Night Sorrow, and why Datura valued Night Sorrow so much. Datura agreed to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing's marriage proposal. After the engagement, he announced it in the Dark Abyss Whitebone Palace. Generals, you're thinking too much. You're soldiers, and so am I. How can there be right and wrong in war? Soldiers value soldiers. This is something I can do, Night Sorrow said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Bloodthirst felt relieved. After Night Sorrow married Datura, they would be in trouble if anyone came looking for trouble with them. At this time, someone came to report to Night Sorrow that the Shenwu Great World and the Zhanwu dynasty had also come to congratulate him. The Qing Emperor had already received them. Chapter 1944. Cool craftsman on the net. Wu Feng nodded. Their eyesight was naturally much better than ordinary people. Tai Lin restrained his aura and didn't leak out. This was to prepare for entering the Arch Realm. It was similar to Night Sorrow's leakless true body. As Tai Lin raised his long sword, his aura burst out. Just the aura brought about ripples in all directions. Night Sorrow waved his space splitter spear and released his battle chi to resist the impact of Tai Lin's aura. At this moment, Tai Lin moved. He stomped his feet and slashed at Night Sorrow. It was the spatial slash. Tai Lin was a spatial attribute heaven monarch. The broadsword in his hand was a spatial slash. Night Sorrow took a step forward and used his space splitter spear to execute the spatial slash. As the two weapons clashed and the energy clashed, there was a loud explosion. Tai Lin retreated for a distance and then took a step forward. His body shuttled through space and slashed at Night Sorrow's head. Spatial movement technique consummate skill. To be more precise, it was a movement technique consummate skill. It was a consummate skill that could only be created when one had a deep understanding of the spatial laws and will of space. Fortunately, Night Sorrow's spatial laws and intent affected the flow of time around his body. This gave him time to react. Night Sorrow's space splitter spear blocked the path of Tai Lin's broadsword. After the two weapons clashed, Tai Lin retreated again. In fact, he wasn't pushed back. He used the recoil to retreat and then attacked again. It was unpredictable and extremely fast. Tai Lin retreated and then attacked again, slashing with every step. Night Sorrow was in a passive position and could only defend. He didn't even have the chance to attack Tai Lin. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. His soul spirit enveloped the entire battle cage and observed Tai Lin's movements. He studied his movement technique. He felt that this movement technique was very magical. He had spatial attributes and could learn from it. As he observed with his soul power, Night Sorrow discovered that Tai Lin's protective air shield was the same as his own. They both cut through the air. In addition, when Tai Lin moved, wherever there were soul power fluctuations first, he would move there. His soul power should have locked onto him and then guided him. Night Sorrow might be in a passive position, but with the soul spirit monitoring and the spatial intent protecting him, Tai Lin's unexpected attack couldn't hurt him. The battle went on for 5 minutes. Tai Lin's attacks became even more violent. His body burst with various types of energy and formed a large-scale attack. It was very similar to the spatial turbulence storm. It was a violent space with spatial energy as the main energy, wind, and thunder energy as support. Feeling the pressure, Night Sorrow used the will of time and space, and then blocked the suppression of the violent space outside his body. Wu Feng's expression was cold. He was worried for Yishang. Tai Lin's ultimate technique was very powerful. If he continued to develop it, it would become an emperor-level grand momentum of heaven and earth domain. It's nothing. Song Ning loosened his grip on his long sword and gripped it again. His eyes were fixed on the battle inside the battle cage. At this moment, Night Sorrow's body also began to move. He also took a step forward and his body appeared in another direction. The spectators were very surprised because Night Sorrow's movement technique was the same as Tai Lin's. It was even faster because Night Sorrow had the time attribute. With the time attribute, Tai Lin's violent space couldn't suppress Night Sorrow at all. At this moment, Night Sorrow's space twisting dragon kill and time shockwave alternated between attacking Tai Lin. Tai Lin's expression turned ugly when his movement technique was broken. Besides his movement technique, his strongest move was the violent space, but it was useless now. Under such circumstances, Tai Lin couldn't hold on anymore. After blocking 2 death-shattering slashes, Night Sorrow's spear pierced through his forehead. The battle ended. Tai Lin, who Yuan Ji had invited, was killed. Night Sorrow walked out of the cage. The scene was very quiet. Everyone's impression of Roly-Poly wasn't like this. He wasn't this strong at all. Just now, in the cage, Night Sorrow's defense was very stable. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all. Fu Wu announced Night Sorrow's victory. The blood battle arena made a big profit because not many people believed in Night Sorrow. What the hell? If you want to slap someone in the face, find someone stronger, okay? Song Ning stood up with his long sword. One time doesn't mean anything. There's still a long way to go. Yuan Ji stood up and knocked his walking stick on the ground. He then turned and walked outside. Long or not, it's not up to you to decide. Song Ning sneered. What? You think I won't live long? Yuan Ji turned around. Don't piss me off. If you do, we can try, Tsang said. You dare to threaten me? Yuan Ji was enraged because Tsang Ning's words had the intention of killing him. What's wrong with threatening you? Complaining. I know you're good at this, but I don't know how you'll be so shameless as to complain, Tsang Ning said. Yuan Ji's face turned red because Tsang Ning's words were very rude. Yuan Ji didn't say anything else. His body flashed and he left. If he spoke again, he would lose face. After Yuan Ji left, the battle in the blood battle arena continued. However, it was King's level, so there weren't many people watching. Datura and Ji Dao also walked out of the private room. Fu Wu also handed a storage ring to Night Sorrow. Don't go. Don't you want to celebrate? You earned a lot. Chapter 1945. The skill that Night Sorrow had strengthened was the destructive True Dragon spell. The destructive True Dragon spell had the effect of confinement and could even injure one's soul spirit. It was harmful to the phantom race's innate talent because every phantom doppelganger required energy and soul spirit power to support it. As Night Sorrow cultivated, Datura watched from the side. Her heart ached because she knew that Night Sorrow's journey had not been easy. She could not help him and could only accompany Night Sorrow. After Night Sorrow finished cultivating, Datura looked at Night Sorrow and told him her thoughts. She wanted to go to the blood battle stage. Ah Luo, in my heart, your safety is the most important, Night Sorrow said. I know. It is not a big deal to send a clone to fight. I also believe in myself. Not everyone can threaten my safety. This can also temper myself. Datura's eyes were very determined. Okay, then you go. You have no problem with the soul spirit defense. After I finish this battle, you can have the mysterious yellow armor. Night Sorrow looked at Datura and said. I am very happy that you want to give me the mysterious yellow armor. However, you don't know that this silk dress I am wearing is a defensive artifact. It is my life battle armor. It is not that easy to break through the defense, Datura said with a smile. She was really happy because Night Sorrow cared about her in every way. Ah Luo, then I will say one more thing. We have children and a perfect family. We cannot afford to lose them. Night Sorrow looked at Datura and reminded her before continuing to cultivate the true dragon destruction technique. After standing in front of the loft for a while, Lin Xian smiled and said, how can we lose with such strength? During Night Sorrow's previous battle, Lin Xian had been watching from the start to the end. Therefore, she was very clear about Night Sorrow's strength. She was very clear that even if a heaven monarch with extremely strong combat strength appeared, he would only be able to squeeze out Night Sorrow's hidden strength and potential. It was impossible to kill or defeat him. In the battle with Torch Dragon, Night Sorrow was indeed injured, but that was the self-explosion of a Heaven Monarch's artifact. Let alone a Heaven Monarch, even a half-thearch and first arch would be severely injured. However, not only did Night Sorrow survive, but he also killed Torch Dragon. This was a demonstration of his strength. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow entered the Haotian godly pagoda after the sky darkened. His original body and clone cultivated together. His original body performed the ultimate skill while his clone was supported by the will of time and space. They attacked under the power of the destructive True Dragon spell. Night Sorrow cultivated in the Haotian Divine Pagoda for more than half a month, and only one night passed. After dawn, Night Sorrow exited the Haotian Divine Pagoda. His original body and clone came out together. Then, his original body kept the Haotian Divine Pagoda and entered the clone's 8-dragon cauldron. Night Sorrow walked around the Night Moon Manor while some servants were still tidying up. Hong Yi bought some servants back and continued to renovate some places in the manor. After resting for a day, Night Sorrow brought Datura, Ji Dao, Hong Yi, and Lanning to the blood battle platform in a beast carriage in the evening. Night Sorrow went to Lin Xian's residence and wanted to ask if Lin Xian was going, but he didn't see her. Lin Xian had already left in advance. Now, she was sitting on the top floor of the Blood Battle platform's highest pavilion and drinking tea with Tsang Ning. Young mistress, Knight Soro's opponent seems to be very strong. He has many kinds of energy in his body, Tsang Ning said. Don't worry about Knight Soro. It is impossible for anyone below the Emperor realm to defeat him. What was the power of Torch Dragon's self-explosion? What was the level of energy? It was already at the Emperor realm. At that time, Knight Soro didn't defend with all his strength. Even under such circumstances, he was still able to withstand it. Therefore, anyone who thinks that they can defeat him must be crazy. Lin Xian explained her analysis. Young mistress, your evaluation of him is very high. Tsang Ning looked outside the crystal window and said. Cool, craftsman, network, you forever. Forever hashtag, free of charge, look at little W said. When he was in the heavenly monarch realm, not to mention you palace lords, even I was inferior to him. If he enters the emperor realm, then the situation of the world will change, Lin Xian said as she looked outside the crystal window. At this moment, Yi Shang had arrived. Knight Soro sat in his usual seat. He saw his opponent. It was a young man in his late 20s. One could see a cultivator's potential from their appearance. Being young meant that they had entered the 5th level relatively early and their appearance remained at that age. Some people didn't deliberately control themselves and let nature take its course. For example, Fatty Shen could use energy to modify his body, but this went against the rules. Cultivators didn't care too much about this. No one could say that Yuan Ji's talent was low. Perhaps he wanted to be more dignified and intimidating, so he let nature take its course. Young mistress, you sit here and watch. I'll go down and take a look. If Yuan Ji dares to bet, then I dare to accept. Tsang Ning stood up and said. You're really digging your own grave. I don't care about you. Do whatever you want. Lin Xian waved her hand. I'll tell Knight Soro that he's digging his own grave. Tsang Ning laughed and left. At this time, in front of the blood battle arena, Fu Wu introduced the 2 contestants and set the odds. Knight Soro's winning streak was already nearing 20. Everyone knew that Knight Soro's winning streak was very high. Those who challenged Knight Soro were all experts. They were all chosen by the City Lord Residence's Great Elder and the 7 Palace Lords. The odds were 4-1. If Knight Soro won 400,000, he could only win 100,000 because his opponent, Li, had no record. Even with such odds, there were many who would win against Knight Soro. In the previous battle, Knight Soro's battle had been too shocking. It was a display of strength. These cultivators in the blood battle arena even called Knight Soro a roly-poly, but their tone was respectful. If others could do what you couldn't do, then you had to give them respect. This was the rule. Kid, are you comfortable in the villa? Do you dare to accept the bet? Yuan Ji, who had been sitting upright all this time, knocked on the ground with his walking stick and stood up. I don't seem to be lacking anything, so it doesn't matter if I bet or not. I won a few million last time in a drifting cloud villa. No. It's now called Night Moon Villa. I'm very satisfied, Knight Soro said. In the previous battle, the drifting cloud villa bid 4 million. This time, I'll bet 5 million. Yuan Ji looked at Knight Soro with a cold gaze. I already said that there's no drifting cloud villa now, only Night Moon Villa. Also, I'm sorry, but the Night Moon Villa was bestowed by the War Emperor. It's not something that can be measured with Saint Spirit stones. 5 million Saint Spirit stones is nothing in my eyes. If you want to take it back, you have to at least pique my interest. Knight Soro laughed. In fact, the drifting cloud villa was worth more than 4 million or 5 million Saint Spirit stones. In the previous battle, Yuan Ji was in a hurry and didn't have any Saint Spirit stones. Plus, he had confidence in Torch Dragon. Then what do you want? How much do you want? Name your price. Yuan-ji took a deep breath and said, I heard that you have a colored glass sacred bone. Take it out and I'll consider it. Knight Sorrow stated his request, which was also his purpose. You're dreaming. Do you know how valuable a colored glass sacred bone is? Is it something you can covet? Hearing Yi Shang's words, Yuan-ji roared. Yi Shang had crossed the line that he couldn't bear. Chapter 1946. Tran Hung looked at Knight Sorrow carefully and nodded. He was sure that Knight Sorrow had recognized him from Knight Sorrow's surprised expression. Knight Sorrow didn't say anything and just cupped his hands. Tran Hung had his reasons for not revealing his identity. I don't have any special reason for hiding my identity. I just want to have a quiet space. See you at the Twilight Tea House when you come back. Tran Hung's voice sounded in Knight Sorrow's spiritual sea. Knight Sorrow understood what Tran Hung meant. He wanted to have an independent life and live a carefree life. Tran Hung looked at the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder nodded and led the other sect elders to a special position. Seeing that the Grand Elder and the others were in position, Tran Hung waved his right hand with his back facing the everlasting tower. As he waved his arm, the everlasting tower glowed and a beam of energy landed in the middle of the sect elders led by the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder and the other sect elders kept forming seals with their hands. Open. Grand Elder roared and pointed his arm in the direction of the Nirvana Ocean. The beam of energy followed the guidance of the energy on his arm and blasted towards the Nirvana Ocean. Then, a dark hole appeared. Knight Sorrow, bring them in and come back alive. Staying alive is more important than anything. Lu Qi, who was standing guard beside the sect elders, said. Yi Shang nodded to Lu Qi. He glanced at the people from the Human Tao Alliance who were standing on the other side of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He waved at the soldiers of the First Army and entered the space-time tunnel in a flash. Knight Sorrow entered the space-time tunnel and the other First Army members followed closely behind. After entering the space-time tunnel, Knight Sorrow felt a strong push. It was the impact of the energy produced by the everlasting tower. There was no need to fly at all. The pushing force was much stronger than the flying block. After walking in the dark space-time tunnel for 10 minutes, Knight Sorrow's eyes lit up and a new world appeared in front of him. With the blood-Chilan evil-slaying spear in hand, Knight Sorrow used his soul power to explore the surroundings. In an unfamiliar environment, the first thing to consider was safety. After finding nothing out of the ordinary, Knight Sorrow began to size up the new world, which was the reincarnation battlefield. A few days before departure, Knight Sorrow had the authority to find the most detailed information. As he was the leader of the 100 Race Alliance's team, he had the authority to find the most detailed information. The reincarnation battlefield was the place where the human sovereign of the previous reincarnation had fallen. Back then, the human sovereign had gone through the divine tribulation here, but he had failed. The Demon Wing clan was worried that the human emperor's soul would be reincarnated and recultivated. Chapter 1947. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio, why do you ask so many questions? Can't you just carry out your orders? You are too naive when it comes to understanding war, Long Jin said. Tiger Cold glanced at Long Jin but didn't say anything. As the saying goes, dragons and tigers fight. Tiger Cold, who was born in the Tiger tribe, was not convinced when he entered the First Army and received Long Jin's guidance on the joint attack formation. Since he was not convinced, Long Jin couldn't bear it. They fought once. The two of them were fighting with their true bodies. The heaven-devouring tiger that Hu Han had transformed into was pressed to the ground by the powerful Long Jin's true body. Then, Long Jin's large golden brick smashed a few large bumps on his head, and he no longer dared to provoke Long Jin. Now that Long Jin had spoken, Tiger Cold had to listen. If he didn't, Long Jin might hit him again. Then the team began to move forward. Night Sorrow informed Bai Lingling and the other scout to keep their doppelgangers close to the team so that they could rescue them in time if there was a battle. Do you think I'm a coward again? Night Sorrow glanced at Bai Lingling, who had doubts in her eyes. Bai Lingling, you are not a coward. You are being cautious to avoid unnecessary losses, Zhuodong explained for Night Sorrow. No matter how many forces enter the First Army, we will have no backup. Without backup, our current strength is crucial. We must avoid some risks. Although we are strong, those who can enter the First Army will not be weak, Night Sorrow looked at Bai Lingling and said. But we believe in your strength. Many people from the Second Army besieged you that day, but you still defeated them, White Meng Meng, who was standing beside Bai Lingling, said. Confidence and fearlessness are necessary. But we can't underestimate any opponent. What if there are recultivators whose souls have been reincarnated? The energy in their bodies is that of an imperial emperor, just like us. However, their realms and combat strength cannot be measured by their ranks. I only hope that after completing this mission, I can bring you back safely, said Night Sorrow. I really haven't thought about this problem. If such a cultivator comes in, it will be a big problem, a big crisis. After hearing Night Sorrow's explanation, White Meng Meng was stunned for a moment because she had never thought about this. The soldiers of the First Army cupped their hands towards Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow had always been concerned about bringing them back safely. In addition, they also admired Night Sorrow for his thoughtfulness. Night Sorrow waved his hand and led everyone forward. After advancing for 10,000 miles, Bai Lingling's expression changed. Captain, I was attacked. It's a humanoid demonic beast, Emperor rank. Everyone, stop moving forward and be on guard. Ling Ling, lead the way. Yi Shan gave 2 consecutive orders. Bai Lingling guided Night Sorrow as they flew. A distance of less than 30,000 kilometers was only a few breaths of time for the 2 imperial emperors. At this moment, Bai Lingling's clone had transformed into her original body to fight and was in full defense. There was a huge gap between an imperial emperor and an imperial emperor. The difference in energy in the body was huge and she wasn't a match. Night Sorrow took out his blood Qilin evil punishing spear and used the Emperor Extermination Spear. With Night Sorrow's control of the spear, the demonic beast's attack on Bai Lingling's clone was interrupted and Bai Lingling's crisis was resolved. Die! The demonic beast roared. It held a spear that wasn't a spear and a spear that wasn't a spear. It stabbed towards Night Sorrow's blood Qilin evil punishing spear. With the collision of energy, Night Sorrow was pushed back. However, the demonic beast was also pushed back a little. With the support of an Imperial Emperor's body's energy, Night Sorrow didn't fall into a disadvantage after blocking an Imperial Emperor's attack. Regroup with the team. Night Sorrow yelled at Bai Lingling. He was worried that more demonic beasts would appear and it would be troublesome. Bai Lingling heard Night Sorrow's order and ran, but her clone didn't. Night Sorrow didn't know what kind of demonic beast the opponent was, but its attack was very fierce. Without the influence of an absolute art, he wasn't a match for it and was at a disadvantage. Don't just watch. Scout the surroundings and see if it has any companions. Night Sorrow yelled at Bai Lingling. I'll go right away. Bai Lingling's clone flashed and left. The Nine-Tailed Fox clan was good at speed and illusion techniques. In the newly formed Heaven Wasteland First Army, she was the best scout. Night Sorrow fought with the demonic beast but didn't use his full strength. Since they might encounter more demonic beasts like this, it was necessary to find out its weakness first. After fighting for 5 minutes, Bai Lingling returned. Captain, scout with all your strength. There are no demonic beasts or opponents within a radius of 50,000 kilometers. There are only our people. You're crazy. How can you scout like this? Don't you know it's dangerous? Night Sorrow scolded. According to the estimation of time, Bai Lingling flew at full speed to scout and didn't pay attention to hiding. I'm just anxious. It seems that Captain is very steady. Let's call the other brothers over. Bai Lingling smiled. She knew that Night Sorrow scolded her for her safety. Bai Lingling, tell us, what's the situation now? Long Jean looked at Bai Lingling and asked anxiously at the First Army's defensive position. Captain is very steady. He didn't use his domain and didn't fall into a disadvantage. I asked him to call everyone over, but he didn't say anything, Bai Lingling said. Then what are we waiting for? Long Jin's body flashed and flew in the direction Bai Lingling came back from. The others followed behind. Night Sorrow didn't use his domain. The dragon-headed man's domain wasn't very good. It was only a level 4 domain. Under Yi Shang's blood Qilin evil punishing spears compressed domain and stirred up the momentum of heaven and earth, it was directly torn apart. Night Sorrow wasn't at a disadvantage in this exchange of blows. This was because Night Sorrow had his ultimate techniques. Whether it was the extermination true dragon kill, the great emperor Samsara slash, or the sky desolation nirvana spear, they could all affect the dragon-headed man's strength. Divide into 6 groups and surround the dragon-headed man. Zhuo Dong ordered the sergeants of the First Army. Keep an eye out. We may encounter more demonic beasts of unknown races, Night Sorrow shouted. Then he activated his domain and began to suppress the dragon-headed man. It was originally a tie, but after Night Sorrow released his domain, the dragon-headed person was suppressed by Night Sorrow. After suppressing the dragon-headed man, Night Sorrow used his soul destruction slash. Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash had advanced from a soul combat skill to a soul unique skill. The purple crescent blade with a diameter of 3 feet slashed toward the dragon-headed man's head. After the dragon-headed man stabbed with his spear, a halo appeared on his head and blocked Night Sorrow's soul attack. However, the dragon-headed man's soul defense only blocked for a moment. Then his body froze and his soul defense was broken. The crescent blade went through the dragon-headed man's forehead and came out from the back of his head. Night Sorrow took back the crescent blade. Dead? Night Sorrow was stunned. His soul extinguishing slash crescent moon blade contained his soul force. He could feel that the soul extinguishing slash had cut through the dragon-headed man's divine sea, but wasn't this too simple? Night Sorrow walked over and pointed at the dragon-headed man's head. Chapter 1948. Unsealed, we need time to deal with this. In the past, we were considering giving the black dragons and flying serpents a way out. However, we can't do that now. This involves bloodline issues and we need to settle it. The Golden Dragon King is currently dealing with this. If the black dragons avoid it and continue with their previous attitude, we will be destroyed, Pu Luo said. We can't drag this out. Once we get the answer, we should act. Mo Tianji hasn't done anything yet because she doesn't have the strength and subordinates. If the black dragons and flying serpents are roped in by her, the consequences will be dire. Night Sorrow said. He was indeed very anxious to know the outcome of the 100 Races Alliance's actions against the black dragons and flying serpents. There should be a result soon. You don't have to worry too much. Pu Luo patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. He could understand Night Sorrow's concerns. Wasn't it the same for him? In such a tense and helpless situation, time slipped away bit by bit. This helplessness was shared by both parties. Night Sorrow was helpless when he couldn't find Mo Tianji's tracks. Mo Tianji was caught like a rat on the street because she didn't have the strength. This made her helpless. The celestial realm wasn't her territory. Once her whereabouts were exposed, it would be a huge crisis. Mo Tianji knew that she was able to escape the first 2 times because of the other party's carelessness. She wouldn't be so lucky next time. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Night Sorrow had been in the time acceleration for more than 30 years. However, there were no signs of him waking up. Upper C. However, Night Sorrow knew that his epiphany wouldn't last for long. The Grand Elder had come to Ethereal Imperial City once and told Night Sorrow that the reincarnation battlefield was in conflict with the celestial realm. It would remain stable for a year. After a period of time, the spatial barrier would shatter and the reincarnation battlefield would become an island in the Nirvana Ocean. At that time, there would be violent vibrations, and Night Sorrow would have to end his epiphany even if he wanted to. After knowing about Night Sorrow's situation, Pu Luo and the others were very impressed. They were almost certain that Night Sorrow's strength would increase greatly after coming out of seclusion. It would not be easy for Mo Tianji to deal with him and threaten him. Moreover, what shocked Night Sorrow was that the Nine Domains world was developing incredibly quickly. The spatial barriers stretched out endlessly, and the surrounding spatial worlds were either fused or shattered. Sky Lord Shen, who walked around the Nine Domain world and told Night Sorrow's Nine Domain world clone that the current size of the Nine Domain world wasn't much smaller than the three great realms of the Chaos Realm. Night Sorrow knew that the Nine Domain world's development speed was related to his own level. He had merged with many small spatial worlds. Under such circumstances, not only did it develop quickly, but it also contained more opportunities. The spatial worlds originally had resources and high-level opportunities. After being merged with the Nine Domain world, these resources and opportunities would belong to the Nine Domain world. The development of the Nine Domain world was managed by Tai Shuyan, and Tianji Tower's Lin Yuandao, Xia Lanjun, and the others assisted. Tianjin Tower was also developing rapidly. This was because Domain Lord Night Sorrow was from Tianji Tower. Tianji Tower's development was very strict, and the direction was strictly controlled. The Assassination Hall was also developing, and similarly, it was strictly controlled. It could even be said that the assassination targets were reviewed repeatedly. Yun Tianlong and Lu Qin had asked Night Sorrow before, and if Night Sorrow objected, the Assassination Hall would change its direction. Night Sorrow's opinion was that the Assassination Hall was also a way to give some helpless and desperate people a chance. Since it existed, then it should continue to exist. If some weak people were humiliated, the Assassination Hall would help them resolve the pain in their hearts. Otherwise, it would be easy for them to go to extremes and become extremely vicious. The structure of the Nine Regions world had not changed. The existing powers were still developing and were not suppressed. However, there were differences in the speed of development. For example, in the Grand Pure Domain, apart from the Yun dynasty, the other great dynasties had all declined. The Yun dynasty had Yun Huang, and everyone knew that Yun Huang was the Domain Lord's brother. Night Sorrow's Nine Domain clone didn't meet many people, and everything was handled by the Nine Domain commander's residence. The three great worlds of the primal chaos realm all had powers enter the Nine Domain world. Night Sorrow didn't object, and let the commander's residence make the arrangements. However, there was one point: no matter who it was, they had to abide by the rules of the Nine Domain world. No one from the three great worlds disobeyed this point. They knew that Night Sorrow was magnanimous, but the order of the Nine Domain world couldn't be broken. Some bottom lines couldn't be touched. Angering Night Sorrow wouldn't end well. Bigger than a fist? No one in the primal chaos realm could compare to Night Sorrow's fist. One had to know that Night Sorrow wasn't just the Domain Lord of the Nine Domain world, he was also the Domain Lord of the primal chaos realm. Night Sorrow estimated that if the Nine Domain world continued to develop like this, it wouldn't be long before the Great World's tribulation arrived. However, he had confidence now. When the Great World's tribulation appeared in the Reincarnation Great World, Shenwu Great World, and Xianhuang Great World, the cultivator with the highest cultivation was a heavenly monarch. Under those circumstances, they could survive the Great World's tribulation. As a peak sovereign emperor, there was no reason why he couldn't handle it. Although Tianyu and Yimei came from the celestial realm, they were born in the Nine Domain world and had the aura of the Nine Domain world. They could fight for the Nine Domain world. They were part of the Nine Domain world. On this day, when Night Sorrow was cultivating, Fen Tian found Night Sorrow. Master asked me to tell you that before tomorrow night, the clone will shake the soul and awaken the original body. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the reincarnation battlefield was going to be unstable. Otherwise, King Yowu wouldn't have made such a notice. Junior brother, this is a pity. Being interrupted by the spatial tremor will have a bad effect on you. It can even be said that the momentum of heaven and earth that you have already comprehended will be disrupted. If you stop it yourself, there won't be such a drawback. Fentian looked at Night Sorrow and said. The epiphany took too long. I'm also looking forward to what level I'll be at after this epiphany ends. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Fentian patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. He knew that this was Night Sorrow. Some things were understated. In fact, the loss of interrupting the epiphany was too great. Haha. Senior brother, my epiphany is over. I haven't shaken the soul yet. Night Sorrow laughed out loud. The aura on Night Sorrow's body began to change, and his aura became stronger and stronger. Fentian's mouth was wide open. He was sure that Night Sorrow's original body had naturally ended his epiphany. Night Sorrow had been talking to him the entire time, but there were no soul fluctuations, so he didn't wake up his original body. The natural end of the epiphany was completely different from forcefully interrupting it. The natural end of the epiphany was to perfectly comprehend a certain direction of the momentum of heaven and earth. Interrupting, to put it bluntly, was giving up halfway. He had gained something, but he still had to continue comprehending this path in the future. One day later, Night Sorrow would naturally end his epiphany at the crucial moment. This made Fentian have no choice but to say that Night Sorrow's luck was good. Looking at Night Sorrow, who was sitting cross-legged, his aura continued to rise. Fentian's heart was filled with envy and happiness. He was happy for Night Sorrow. Speak. Chapter 1949. Unsealed. The change in Night Sorrow's aura naturally couldn't be hidden from the Humanitarian League experts in the Night Moon Villa. They all came to the waterside pavilion, where Night Sorrow was meditating. Didn't you say there was one more day? It's a pity that the epiphany was forcefully interrupted. Rui Si said. Fentian received King Yawu's message and told Lin Piaomiao, Great Demon King, Pu Luo and the others. Everyone felt helpless. Who told you that it was forcefully interrupted? Junior brother's epiphany ended as soon as I finished speaking. I have to say that this is the blessing of the heavens. Fentian said. That's possible? Rui Si's face was filled with shock. The others were the same. This was good news. After the epiphany ended perfectly, there was no need to walk the path of enlightenment anymore. Two are cool, don't speak. Yu Zhu glanced at Rui Si. At this moment, Night Sorrow's aura was still rising. First, it was the destruction aura, which directly reached the peak of a 6-star king. Next, the space-time momentum of heaven and earth appeared. The mysterious aura wrapped around Night Sorrow. The space-time momentum of heaven and earth started to rise from the early stage of a 6-star emperor and stopped at 67%. Then, the momentum of heaven and earth changed again. It was the void attribute momentum of heaven and earth. Then, his aura rose. Early stage, middle stage, peak of a 6-star emperor. Under everyone's anticipation, Night Sorrow's body shook violently. His aura was completely different from before. Level 7 Emperor. The void attribute momentum of heaven and earth entered 70% and then stabilized. Lin Piaomiao waved her hand. Although Night Sorrow had just become a 7-star emperor, he was on a completely different level from a 6-star emperor. One was an emperor while the other was an emperor. Then, the death intent of heaven and earth appeared on Night Sorrow's body. This time, Night Sorrow mainly comprehended the void and destruction intent. However, his spacetime and death intent had also improved a lot. This was the law of heaven and earth. The death intent of heaven and earth increased a lot more than the spacetime momentum of heaven and earth. It directly broke through 10% and reached the level of a 2-star emperor. Several types of worldly powers rolled around Night Sorrow's body. Then, they expanded and merged into a domain. No one disturbed Night Sorrow. Since the main body had advanced, the clone would also need to undergo a transition. Everyone just waited at the side. A day later, Night Sorrow stood up. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Indeed, I've waited for a long time. Tell me yourself. How should we celebrate such a joyous occasion? The great demon king asked Night Sorrow. Whatever you say, we'll do it. Night Sorrow was also in a good mood. With a supreme attribute emperor, he wouldn't have to run if he saw Mo Tianji again. Night Sorrow arranged for the servants to book the best banquet in the ethereal empire. Night Sorrow, your nothingness attribute has surpassed the spacetime attribute. This is very rare. Pu Luo said. My main attribute is the void attribute, and the space attribute is my talent. The spacetime attribute is the fusion of the talent attribute and the time attribute. To be honest, the void attribute is the most suitable for me, Night Sorrow explained to Pu Luo. Very good. You're finally the leader of the Humanitarian League. You're finally something. An Emperor Realm leader isn't enough, the great demon king said. Night Sorrow smiled. He was truly happy. In the reincarnation battlefield, Night Sorrow's main body, who had just finished his enlightenment, met up with King Yawu. Very good. Your master will be very happy to know about this. King Yawu was also very excited to see Night Sorrow's new realm. Night Sorrow was too young. Even if he didn't advance by leaps and bounds, it was natural for him to have great achievements if he advanced step by step. There was a threshold from Emperor Realm to Emperor Realm. It wasn't easy to cross it. As long as he crossed it, he could rely on time to improve. Martial uncle, you've worked hard for the past year. Night Sorrow bowed to King Yawu. That's nothing. The space here is going to become unstable soon. Let's go back. King Yawu nodded at Night Sorrow. He waved his left hand and cut open the space barrier. He brought Night Sorrow back to the sky above the Nirvana ocean and started flying. When Night Sorrow returned to the Heaven Wasteland City, he saw a group of people standing in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The leader was the city lord of the Heaven Wasteland City, the elders of the 100 races, and the assembled Heaven Wasteland army. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow understood that they were welcoming the return of the human emperor's skeleton. In the previous reincarnation, the human emperor had protected the peace of the celestial realm. He was a sage of the human race. Now that the skeleton had returned, the ceremony naturally had to be grand. When they arrived in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Night Sorrow took out the human emperor's seal and took out the human emperor's skeleton. Night Sorrow kept the skeleton standing. Why? Because the human emperor's gaze and aura looked down on the world. He had been standing proudly on Broken Sky Mountain for 8 eras. This was the pride and arrogance of the human emperor. Night Sorrow kept the human emperor's skeleton wrapped in the power of merit. Everyone bowed in greeting. They were waiting here for the return of Renhuang's skeleton. Night Sorrow, we will send the human emperor to the 100 Races sacrificial tower. In the future, the human race and the 100 races will worship him, said the city lord of the Heaven Wasteland City. Under the city lord's lead and the elders of the 100 races, Night Sorrow placed the human emperor's skeleton on the tower beside the Heaven Wasteland Tower. That was the sacrificial tower of the 100 races. Night Sorrow placed the human emperor's skeleton in the middle of the top floor of the sacrificial tower. After placing the human emperor's skeleton, Night Sorrow turned around and knelt on one knee to worship a statue. The statue was very important to him. It was the statue of the human race's unparalleled sword emperor, Yan Wushuang. This is our mistake. Back then, your master's body was destroyed by the God-destroying tribulation. He didn't want to use the possession method to be reborn. He wanted to severely injure the demon-winged race before his soul was reincarnated. He did it. Don't blame others for this. I, King Yawu, and the Grand Elder were all in seclusion back then. After we came out, we went to a fortune teller for divination, but nothing was clear. After building this statue, I used the power of destiny to support it. If there is a fragment of your master's soul, it will return, said the city lord. City lord, you worry too much. I don't blame anyone. I just feel that my master is a bit miserable. Some people misunderstood him and thought that he was a sinner. Who can understand the pain of burning one's soul for countless years? Night Sorrow said in a low voice. He knew why the divination result was not clear. Yan Wushuang had trapped Mo Tianji, and Mo Tianji had a treasure that could interfere with divination. There is a public opinion. If your master was flawed, the statue wouldn't be here, said the city lord. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. You didn't inherit your master's legacy, but you inherited his ambition. He is the pride of the human race and even the 100 Races Alliance. So are you, said the city lord to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow will continue to work hard. Night Sorrow nodded. He was comforted because not most people understood Yan Wushuang. By the way, you have become an emperor, so you should have an official title. The Heaven Wasteland Tower can give you a title. Because of the high energy consumption, the 100 Races Alliance has a rule that only emperors can enter to get an official title. You can try. The city lord sized up Night Sorrow and said. Speak. Second update. Let's talk about the physical book. Becoming a god with all Tao is not complete. It is still in serialization. Xu Shizi is still writing, but only the first part has been printed. Buying the first book now or the first 8 books will not affect the purchase later. After this book is finished, all the later books will be printed. By then, you can buy as many books as you need. Chapter 1950. All the high-level cultivators in the celestial realm knew that the Infinite Wasteland Tower could grant them a title, but it was not easy. First, they had to be cultivators working for the Infinite Wasteland City, and second, they had to be emperors. Night Sorrow had never thought about being granted a title. He had been granted a title in the 9-domain world before, but that was not the case. Night Sorrow did not think much of it, because he was confident. His confidence was more important than anything else. A title was just a title. Okay, I'll try it later. Night Sorrow nodded. Anytime. The Infinite Wasteland City Lord nodded. He admired Night Sorrow's temperament. Lord City Lord, Grand Elder, the Infinite Wasteland halberd is mine, right? Night Sorrow said to the Infinite Wasteland City Lord and the Grand Elder. We said we'll give it to you, so of course we'll give it to you. We won't go back on our words. The Grand Elder said with a smile. He knew that Night Sorrow did not trust the Assembly of Elders very much because of Bai Chuyuan. It's not a good thing that you have so many weapons. King Yowu looked at Night Sorrow and said. Uncle, can the 2 weapons on my back be combined? Night Sorrow looked at King Yowu and asked. You don't take the Demon Wing clan's divine weapons seriously. Okay, I'll show it to you later. King Yowu nodded. Night Sorrow returned to his mansion after parting with the Infinite Wasteland City Lord and the Grand Elder. He then took out the Infinite Wasteland halberd and performed the new spear art that he had learned over the past year. Using the Infinite Wasteland halberd to perform the domain tremor and wave art was completely different from using the blood Chilan evil slaying spear. The Infinite Wasteland halberd was extremely heavy and carried an aura that could destroy everything. When using the Infinite Wasteland halberd to perform the new spear art, the domain tremor and wave art carried the power of destruction. As Night Sorrow performed the spear art, the space trembled and fluctuated continuously. The tremors and fluctuations carried the power of destruction. The air screamed and cracks appeared in the space. Good spear technique. When Night Sorrow was practicing to the fullest, King Yowu appeared and praised the power of Night Sorrow's new spear art. Night Sorrow put away the Sky Desolation halberd and invited King Yowu to the waterside pavilion. Then, he brewed a pot of tea. You have your own way of the spear, which is very rare. Many cultivators can't even touch the word way in their lifetime. If you have any ideas about merging weapons, tell me, King Yowu said. Disciple's reincarnation spear was originally the most ordinary dark steel spear used by hunters. It had followed the disciple ever since the disciple learned how to fight, as if it was a part of the disciple's body. The tip of the spear was made with reincarnation stone and has the ability to attack the soul. In addition, the reincarnation spear has been nourished by the origin spirit of the nine-domain world and the origin spirit of the world of reincarnation. It is a man-made origin spirit spear. Night Sorrow took out the reincarnation spear and touched it before handing it to King Yawu. King Yawu nodded. He was also a spear cultivator and could understand the relationship between Night Sorrow and the weapon. King Yawu wrapped the reincarnation spear with his soul power and probed it. He understood the reincarnation spear and the key to its preciousness. Then, Night Sorrow took out the infinite wasteland halberd, but he kept holding it in his hand. He didn't dare to let it go. If the infinite wasteland halberd left his hand, its weight would crush the table and sink into the ground. After telling King Yawu about the infinite wasteland halberd, Night Sorrow handed it to him. At first, King Yawu casually reached out to grab the infinite wasteland halberd. Then, he tightened his arm and poured energy into the halberd to take it. As expected of a divine weapon of providence. It's not a lie that it's as heavy as a mountain. To be able to wield such a heavy weapon with such ease, its attack power is naturally strong. Being hit by this halberd is no different from being hit by a mountain. Moreover, it's concentrated at one point. The destructive power is definitely strong, King Yawu said as he held the infinite wasteland halberd. King Yawu was shocked. He couldn't imagine how Night Sorrow had fought with Mo Tianji for a year while carrying such a heavy weapon. Ordinary imperial emperors couldn't lift the infinite wasteland halberd even if they had the body and energy. King Yawu and Night Sorrow talked for a while. Both of them had the same idea. They wanted to merge the reincarnation spear with the infinite wasteland halberd and become its core. This way, Night Sorrow wouldn't lose the feeling of being one with the spear. The reincarnation spear's attack on the soul wouldn't disappear either. After the fusion, it could absorb all the power of the infinite wasteland halberd. King Yawu didn't enter the spatial treasure. He just started refining in Night Sorrow's mansion. Night Sorrow watched from the side. If one wanted to perfectly control a weapon, they needed to know the entire process of the weapon's forging and growth. Pu Luo and the others also watched from the side. Pu Luo was an emperor-level blacksmith, but he was still inferior to King Yawu, who was a giant in the celestial realm. He also needed to learn and explore. King Yawu was very careful when refining. It was his first time changing a divine weapon of providence. Fortunately, his cultivation and blacksmithing were high, so it wasn't difficult to refine. After half a month, the reincarnation spear and the infinite wasteland halberd completed the fusion. The outer part was the infinite wasteland halberd, and the core was the reincarnation spear. Fortunately, your soul power helped me carry the infinite wasteland halberd. Otherwise, I would be exhausted in half a month. Take it and try it. King Yawu pointed at the new weapon floating in the air and said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's soul power revolved, and the new weapon appeared in his hand. The feeling of being one with the spear was still there, and the domineering aura of the infinite wasteland halberd was rippling in all directions. Night Sorrow swung his right arm, and the new weapon slashed forward. Hiss. Paw. The new weapon cut the air and made an explosive sound. Then, the destructive power of the infinite wasteland halberd directly rushed out a black hole in the space. Thank you, Uncle. Night Sorrow swung his right arm, and the new weapon fell into the holster on his back. Haha. It looks good. If the Demon Wings clan saw us messing with their weapon of destiny like this, they would probably want to eat us both. King Yawu was also very happy. He and Night Sorrow both knew another problem. If Night Sorrow didn't die, the Demon Wings clan would never be able to take back and control this weapon, which meant that the weapon of destiny of the Demon Wings clan would be destroyed. The reincarnation spear and Night Sorrow were connected by blood. The reincarnation spear and the infinite wasteland halberd were one. During the forging process, Night Sorrow had fused his essence blood, the power of the soul, and the power of merit into it. In other words, it was not just a divine artifact of fate, but also a new weapon of the origin god artifact. It completely belonged to Night Sorrow. Head A hair Y, the new weapon looks domineering, but it doesn't have a name. Night Sorrow, do you have any ideas? The Grand Elder, who came to watch the refining process, asked. The core is the reincarnation spear and the infinite wasteland halberd. How about we call the new weapon reincarnation halberd? Knight Sorrow looked at the Grand Elder and King Yawu and asked. Very good. It's realistic and domineering. King Yawu nodded. Since the new weapon has been formed, you should also prepare to go to the Infinite Wasteland Tower to get a title. I wonder what your title of Virtuous Emperor is. The Grand Elder said. Speak, you're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.